Yo, yo. What's up, everyone? Totally random live tonight. Um, I posted a link. Anyone's welcome. Wanted to talk a little bit more about the heavyweight division. What's up, Aaron? Shout out to Aaron from Queensland. Aaron, I thought you was in Harlem at some point. Shout out to Devin. All right, gonna wait for a few more people to come in. But yeah, this is just pretty much open. I'm just on because had some free time and I figured I'd jump on YouTube. I figured some of you guys will get on and chop it up with me. What's up, Captain? What's up, man? Yeah, it's just open today. Anyone could join up. Just talk some boxing. Wanted to talk a little bit more about the heavyweight division. Talk about the some more about Joshua. A little bit more about Wilder and Fury coming up. But I mainly wanted to talk about that undercard, which is a very, very good undercard. I love this undercard. Man. You know, Hellenius and Konaki too. And we got Frank Sanchez against F.A. Ajagba. I love this undercard. We got Jared Anderson on the undercard. We got Edgar Berlanga in the undercard. We got Julian J. Rock Williams on the undercard. I love this undercard. What's up, William? What's good? What's good, bro? What's good? Thank you for the donation, bro. Thank you. Berlanga, I'm not familiar with who he's fighting. I'm not familiar with him. Maybe I am, but his name doesn't stand up. Marcelo Esteban. I'm not sure I know who that is. Yvonne, how you doing? My favorite fan. But yeah, man, got a lot of fights coming up, and just here tonight, just to chop it up, totally random. Just open and talk about whatever, you know. I wanted to respond to a few comments that I got as well. Got some comments, and one of the comments was about the rematch clauses. Let me pull this up because I don't want to forget the brother name, whoever left the comment earlier. I want to give him a shout out too. Mr. Davey B Games. All right. He left a comment today on my video. The instant rematch clause in contract just ruins it for everyone and the fans. Lose your belt, move on, and fight your way back up to the top so you get another shot at winning them later on. Instant rematch ties the belt and fighters up for another 6 months. It's very frustrating. And why does AJ deserve 2 further title shots after losing twice when some heavyweights are still waiting for their chance patiently? You know? Yo, what's up, bro?
What's up, bro? How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
Thanks for the open mic.
Yeah, man. What's up? What's happening with you? How you doing, man?
I just see your T-shirt, so you have some French flair today, so I have to come.
Yeah. How's everything going up there in Canada?
So you know, I cannot lie. You know, it's not easy, but we struggle a little bit, but it will be okay. I hope so.
Okay.
Yeah, and you?
Everything's all right, man. I'm just, hanging in and just trying to stay active on here on YouTube, man. Trying to stay active, man. That's all.
Yeah.
Trying to do this YouTube thing. I love it on here. It's like a love-hate relationship with YouTube. These fans
I can see.
are
Yeah.
tough to deal with,
Yeah.
But boxing is boxing, man, at the end of the day.
I
You know?
I'm completely the same. My love-hate relationship with YouTube, and
Yeah.
sometimes you have a Saturday night like this weekend, and
Hmm.
you jumping back on boxing big time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yo, this guy left me a good. I don't know if you was just listening to the comment I was just reading about rematch clauses. All right.
Mhm.
And he's basically saying that the rematch clauses hold up everything in the divisions. These guys, it pretty much holds up whoever's holding the title for 6 months. And I read this comment today, and he basically said, Joshua lost before to Ruiz. There was a rematch clause in that, and then against Usyk again, another rematch clause, and it holds everything up. And I kind of agree with them, because being that most boxers now are only fighting once or twice a year,
Mhm.
you on top of that, you have your mandatories and stuff like that. It does kind of hold everything. It kind of freezes everything up, especially if you're a unified champion like Joshua.
Yes.
You're holding 3 titles, and now we have to wait until you're ready to rematch this fight. And this comment, the subscriber basically left a comment saying you should have to somewhat work your way back into another title shot. What do you think about that?
I think he is completely right. I'm pretty sure we are on a new era of heavyweight boxing, because I know you are an historian, because in the 80s or the 70s, when a champ lost, he took some fight just some warm up to come
Warm up
back,
fights, yeah. Hmm.
just and everybody was agree with that. But today,
Yeah.
people are almost disagree with the idea to see Joshua take a small matchup just to come back, just to take some uh, some rounds, just working on a new way of boxing. People will not really understand, the audience is changed. So I'm pretty sure, yes, everything is on holding. And also you have to see also with the Usyk side, because Usyk now is the champ. So I'm pretty sure he will want to have a deal as a champ. So maybe
Yeah.
in term of money, in term of maybe of the place. I'm not sure about that. Uh, so it could take a long time of negotiation.
Yeah.
And on the Joshua side, also it will be maybe more longer than for the Ruiz situation, because uh, Saturday we see Joshua with no response, with no answer at all in terms of strategy. So he has to. It's I think the work he has to put is bigger than the Ruiz fight.
Yeah, I think it's somewhat unfair for a guy like Usyk, because I know people are looking at him as a guy that just moved up from cruiserweight. He didn't prove himself. And to be honest, I don't know where that began. I think I want to go and say that it kind of somewhat got popular with Terrence Crawford moving up, where
Mhm.
people are saying you got to prove yourself at the division first before you get your shot at the biggest guy. And I'm like, it was kind of a normal thing for a guy to win a title and get a title shot on his way up right away. Ruiz is different, because Ruiz's
Mhm.
situation was he was a replacement fighter.
Yeah.
Jared Miller tested
Mhm.
positive for every drug that you could possibly get. Uh, he tested positive for that, and they send out some offers to like Luis Ortiz, and I think it was like a couple other fighters in there that wasn't able to get. I think Dillian White as well. I think Dillian White declined the rematch at that time, and then Ruiz was available, and he was a legit like replacement fighter. Like, this fight would have never happened any other time. A lot of people weren't, aware or didn't even know who Andy Ruiz was at that time. And in that sense, a rematch clause should definitely be in place because this guy is not even supposed to be getting this title shot. This is just a totally random thing. And that makes sense. Whereas Usyk has earned his way there, maybe not as a heavyweight, but as a undisputed champion in the lower division,
Mm,
moving up, and moved up, had a couple heavyweight fights. He was already the mandatory anyway, and
yeah, with
as
WBO.
much as I'm a Joshua guy. I support Joshua. I
Mm,
ride with Joshua, but Usyk, this was not no totally random accident. Like that
yeah,
guy earned that win against a very good Anthony Joshua, and I think it's unfair that, yeah, I want Joshua to win his titles, but listen, you lost twice, within your last four fights,
yeah,
like maybe you should have some fights before getting another title shot,
yeah,
you know? And it is holding up the division because look at Fury and Wilder. Look how much time they held up the division with that WBC title. Now, Dillian White and, whoever else is in line have to wait years because most of these guys don't fight no more than one or two
decades. You know.
fights a
Yeah,
year. Right.
mm, yeah, exactly.
So, I
Mm,
mean, I think the if fighters were more active, I'll be cool with the rematch clause, but these guys are not active like that. These guys are
no,
fighting once, maybe twice a year.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's completely changed the landscape and the way of the schedule. The boxing schedule completely changed. We grew up in the 80s and the 90s, and it's like they are almost in retirement. Uh, this guy, Joshua. When you see people, Riddick Bowe going to
Hmm.
his championship fight, how many
Hmm.
fights he did? He has maybe 30 fight. Joshua, it was at
Hmm.
what, 16?
Hmm.
It's half the way of a Riddick Bowe or Lennox Lewis.
Yeah.
And I don't speak about Larry Holmes or the OG. So um, the and also you have to see that Joshua is also a business guy, but Usyk is the same, Fury is the same. So it's they speak about the boxing business game more than just the boxing game, and it's for a fan like me or maybe like you, it's I'm really tired about that.
Yeah. It's just it's just stretching out everything. It's just making everything go so much longer, It makes the years feel like boxing years seem like they go by so fast because it's like not much is happening. We get a whole year. Just think about this year.
Mhm.
You can't count 2020 because 2020 boxing for the most part it wasn't active. But we go into 2020 year 2021 with a year where we had most fighters were allowed to fight. And you got guys that caught COVID a
Yeah.
week prior to the fight.
But Paul, the only one who understood the situation and understood that he has to put many fight to be the face of boxing was Canelo.
Hmm.
Canelo fight a lot if you compare with the rest of the boxing
Yes.
stars.
Yes. And this is why I respect Canelo.
Me
Some
too.
people might,
Mhm.
it's weird because Canelo fanboys don't like me, but
Oh,
Canelo haters don't like me neither.
mm.
And
So
that's because
the
I
ball.
am not, it's weird, but but these are the comments that I get. The
Mm.
real hardcore extreme fanboys, don't think Canelo should receive any kind of criticism. And then you have the people that hate Canelo. Um, Shout out the Charger to the game. Yo, if you can jump on, if you Charger to the game, jump on if you can, bro. Um, that's my guy. I met him back. I think we met on the Joshua Ruiz fight. Correct me if I'm wrong. Let me know. But yo, going back to what I was saying. Damn, what was the point? What we were just talking about. We were talking about
about Canelo.
okay, so Canelo, the thing about Canelo, and you just brought up an amazing point. Canelo has been extremely active, man, when
Yeah,
guys are not fighting, you know, 2, 3 times a year. Canelo's his fight. Might not fight everybody like the Yildirim fight, when he had to get that out of the way. But you know what? At least he was staying active, like I just need we need
yeah,
the fights going. Like I like when Triple G and Kovalev was having their run. You remember
yeah.
that? They were
hmm
fighting 4
That's what
times, traveling
exactly.
around the world,
5 times
beating
a year
people.
for Triple G. Five
Yeah,
times a year, everywhere in Monaco, the US. It was crazy. Yeah,
yeah.
UK.
They were having a they those two were having a good run
Yeah,
when they were in the prime, you
yeah.
know. And
2014, 2015. Yeah.
yeah, they had the two of them had a good run. HBO was
Mm,
broadcasting them on a
mm.
regular, and now you got these guys that's fighting once a year, and it's like if you're holding a title, you got a mandatory obligation. And the thing with mandatory, sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not so good. Triple G's last mandatory was not so good. You know,
Oh
and
yeah,
it's just like when you fight once a year and you fight a mandatory that's not like the guy that everybody wants to see you face, it's like, damn, well,
yeah.
what's the point? It's like we wasted a whole year, you know?
It's also the Canelo side who was very clever to break the rhythm of Triple G, because in my opinion, Triple G is really dangerous when he has rhythm. He fight 4 times or 5 times a year. And they
Hmm.
break the rhythm and they force him to not fight to have the Canelo fight, and that, in my opinion, that broke something in the Triple G machine, if I can say.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's just the way boxing is set up. And this is why these older fighters and these celebrities are taking advantage of it.
Yeah,
They're taking advantage of the time. There's empty spaces, there's empty slots
exactly,
in boxing right now.
exactly.
We got
Because
we
we
getting.
because the boxing world can put some fight, but they struggle to put some event. What are the events in the boxing world right now? When Canelo uh, go to a big stadium, or when Joshua come back to a big stadium. That's it. This is the big
Mhm,
event. For the rest, it's just us. It's just us talking about the next Crawford fight, or the next Loma fight. But in
mhm,
terms of big event that even my sister can talk about, that is just Canelo and
mhm.
AJ. That's it. That's all. You know,
Yeah.
and for the rest, boxing doesn't exist except when you have some celebrities who want to fight. That's sad.
Yeah, I think you got these guys that's taking advantage of the fact that we getting consecutive weekends of no boxing. Or
Mhm.
we might get some boxing, but it's not the boxing that we're looking for.
Yeah. Mm.
And it's like, that's why they putting Holyfield in there. This is why they putting Jake Paul in there. These guys are taking over. D Style, what up, bro? If you can jump on, if you have some time, let me know. Jump on. Um, but yeah, that's the problem. It's too much availability for all these other guys. And I said this in a previous video. Um, D Style, thank you for the donation. I said in a previous video, if we were getting consecutive good boxers, like good fights, and we have enough. The roster is set. We have more than enough fights that can be made every single weekend. If these guys was giving us consistent back to back good
Mhm.
weekends of fights, we wouldn't be worried about who Holyfield is fighting. No disrespect to Holyfield because he's a legend, but it would be like how Chavez Sr., you know how Chavez Sr. has been fighting for years still, exhibitions. He's been
Mhm.
doing it. He's been for
Yeah.
himself because he just
To
loved the game. But when he fights, it's not a broadcast. It's like, you know what?
yeah.
If you want to tune in, you could, but not everybody's talking about it. And I feel like all these legends that are coming back, they're coming back and everyone is talking about it because there's nothing else going on, you
And
know?
because
And
also the name sell, you know,
yeah,
the name Holyfield is still bigger than some of the big name of the boxing world today. Today, for you know, for the masses, for the you know, for the casual, it's easier to sell the name Holyfield, sorry, than uh, Teofimo Lopez. You, Teofimo Lopez is just for us, the boxing hardcore fans. You see?
yeah. But even with Teofimo Lopez, I know he
Mm,
doesn't have the name that Holyfield has.
mm,
But if Teofimo Lopez is fighting on the same night as Holyfield, I think, you know, the hardcore boxing fans are gonna want to tune in just because, excuse me, we're seeing a prime Teo fight. And Holyfield, I think people are kind of tuning in because there's nothing else on. You'll be surprised. I know Holyfield has the name, but there's a lot of newer boxing fans that they know of Holyfield because of who he was, but they don't really connect with him in a way where like we seen him in his prime. So we're not as interested in seeing him fight an MMA fighter at 58 years old. You know what I'm saying? We're just not that interested. I saw some of it. I streamed it. I didn't pay for it, and I kind of just watched it because it was the only thing that was on at the time. I was like, I could have completely missed out on a fight and just found out what happened on it later. I mean, I'm speaking for myself, but I just know that that fight was being talked about and discussed so much because there was nothing on that night. Nothing major at least. You know, Teofimo Lopez, we know him as that guy. I mean, Tio is a different example because Tio's, I think we all know him as a guy that recently beat Lomachenko, but I think he lost a lot of steam because of the whole Triller situation.
yeah,
And, I think it was what, 5 reschedules at this point? 5?
yeah.
It's
It's a
crazy.
never-ending story. Lah. It's I never
You
see
know,
that. Yeah,
coming off
it's
your biggest win too, you're beating a
mm,
a pound for pound fighter.
he
And to
didn't
go
break
with,
for yeah,
yeah, it's crazy.
and
You
and
know?
Loma because we know Loma will fight in December, so Loma will find the time to find twice after his defeat, and Teofimo will just won, and it was difficult to finally uh, um, get the fight. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, I don't know. It is what it is. What do you think about this Wilder and Fury fight? What do you think? Do you think there's going to be any difference in this third fight as opposed to the second and the first? I mean, both the first two fights were very different, obviously in the outcome, but just not just the outcome, but just the way, you know, I want to say both the strategy in both. I think the first fight, uh my analysis of the first fight was Fury was boxing well like he normally do, but he just quite wasn't in his prime in that night. And
Mm,
Wilder was just trying to force the right hand on Fury, and
mm,
it became very predictable. I think the second fight, Wilder was a little better as far as maybe tactics and just setting up the right hand and doing a little bit more. Like I remember him throwing some lefts to the body and stuff. But Fury was more aggressive. He was bigger.
Was aggressive. Yeah.
He wasn't so slick. He was kind of just walking
No.
down, being a
Yeah.
bully and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And he overwhelmed Wilder. Some people will say Wilder had his water spiked. Fury's gloves had egg wicks or
Mm.
whatever. But you got that. And then in this third fight, I really don't know what to expect from Fury, but I know Wilder is training in a different level. What do you think that really matters at this point?
Yes. First of all, I'm really excited about the fight night because, like you say at the beginning of your show and on your title, the card, the all the schedule, all the fights of the night are crazy good. You have a good matchup, and I'm almost ex- more excited by the matchup like Sanchez Ajagba than the main event. But for the main event, I'm agree with you. We will see a different fight. It will be
Hmm.
it will not look like the first or the second one. It will be different.
Hmm. Yeah,
Because Wilder, yes, because Wilder at least will try to bring something else. You know, it for
I agree
sure,
100%.
for sure. He has no choice, and he will bring something else. But the question is, um, can he demonstrate another way of boxing for 12 rounds? I'm not
Hmm.
sure about that. And
Yeah,
I don't know. It's just an intuition. It's just how I visualize the fight. But I think the first 5 rounds will be very interesting. When we will see a different Wilder. But Fury is really great to adjust.
yeah,
He can adjust to something different. So I give Fury maybe 5 rounds to adjust, and after the fifth round, maybe we will see a completely different fight. But for the beginning, I'm pretty sure Wilder will be disciplined, will be full of rage. So it could be very excited. But for the rest of the fight, in my opinion, it's really open to how Fury adjust, and if he has the will to going for the knockout or not.
yeah. Great analysis, by the way.
Thank
I
you.
told people the other day, I don't think I'm gonna do a prediction for this fight. All
Yeah.
right. It's
Mm.
very rare when I just say like I'm not predicting. I will break it down. I'm not gonna pick a winner going into this fight. Uh, because I feel like when a fighter is backed against a wall, it's really hard to predict what's gonna happen. I
Mm.
feel like Wilder is backed against a wall. Like he
Yes.
must win this fight, and he's preparing it differently. Because a lot of things that people have always said about Wilder, about his flaws, we know that he's an amazing athlete. Okay, and we know that he has a huge, huge right hand.
Yes.
He's never been forced to have to change anything, though.
Mm.
I listened to a lot of Malik Scott videos, and as much as I respect his boxing knowledge, his experience, people like to talk about, oh, well, I know Fury said things like, we sparred. If you couldn't do nothing to me, how can you teach Wilder to do something to me? I don't necessarily believe in any of that because I don't necessarily believe that a trainer has to be an elite fighter to be a good trainer, a great trainer. Malik Scott could be a great trainer. I have no idea.
Mm.
I just know that before, even though he was a part of the camp, he's never been the lead trainer in Wilder's camp. And then Wilder's never lost before, so he's never been really forced to change things. Malik Scott saying, I've seen Wilder do things outside of the ring that he hasn't done inside the ring. Like he can do more. I don't know if he's being biased or I don't know if he's being honest. I don't know what to believe. There's too many unknowns here. But
No.
all I know is that Wilder is backed into a wall and Wilder is being forced to adjust and to work on other things outside of the right hand. So being that we know that now, I believe, win or lose, this will be the best Wilder out of the trilogy. Win or
Yeah.
lose.
Agree.
I think even if Wilder loses, even if he
Mhm.
ends to get knocked out,
Mhm.
I think this will be the best Wilder we'll see up to this point.
Yeah.
And this is why it makes it so difficult for me to pick this fight because even if Fury is winning, it won't be as easy as it was in the second fight. You know, Fury displayed great defense in the first fight. Offensively, he was just okay. Offensively, he was amazing in the second fight. Defensively, he didn't have to be that defensive because the game plan was pressure. This fight here, pressure, just raw pressure might not work. So Fury might have to go back into a little bit of the old Fury and may have to rely on his boxing uh ability, you know. I don't know what to expect. I don't really know.
But I think the devil is in the detail. This expression, because yes, Wilder has to change, and he will show something else. I'm pretty sure about that. But can he change a lot? I'm not sure
Mhm.
about that. He's
Right.
he's starting late. He is almost 37, 36. I'm not sure about that. Uh, so maybe he can progress, but also we have to be reasonable. He can progress, but it's it cannot be a big progress.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
some
I agree.
some questions are still on the table. Can he box uh, backward? You say that? Can he box in back on his
Uh
back foot?
Back
Uh,
foot. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
back
okay.
foot.
Sorry about my
Mhm.
English. Can he box like this? Because it would be huge if he show that. Wilder wasn't good about that. Can he change something with his movement, his legs? And I'm
Mhm.
pretty sure they work a lot about that. One thing I'm sure it's all the 24/7 we see on YouTube and on TV. You know, it's
Mhm.
sometimes it's good to watch a 24/7 because you can catch just a detail. You can catch here and there a detail and say, okay, I can see uh, what will be the strategy. But for this one, I'm pretty sure they show nothing
Yeah, I
about the
know.
fight.
I know.
It's all
Yeah.
is fake. For
Yeah.
the Wilder side, on the Fury side, you will see nothing like a detail you can take for granted. No, not at all.
Well, if you look at the PBC boxing channel,
Mm,
the YouTube channel, they've been showing episodes. I think I saw
yeah.
episode 2 this morning.
Yes, me too.
It's a 5-minute video.
Yeah.
Not only that, but the videos that we've seen of Wilder hitting the mitts and training with Malik Scott, these are short clips. They're only posting what they
Mm.
want us to see.
And it's always the same combo.
You know.
Look,
Now,
with
yeah.
the video 1 month ago, 2 months ago, it's always the same. They show just one combo. Yeah.
Hmm. Only another thing too, another point. What happens when Wilder gets hit with a big right hand like he did in the rematch?
Mm.
Does he revert right back to the way he's used to fighting, or does he stick to the game plan?
Yeah.
You know, remember, there were fights where Wilder was maybe not lose because I don't remember how the judges had it scored, but I remember there were certain fights where Wilder was kind of getting outboxed. the Spilka fight here in New York, the Gerald Washington fight, the Luis Ortiz
This fight.
rematch,
Mhm.
where I
Even
thought
the first
Ortiz
fight.
won.
Even the first
Ortiz
fight.
was winning every single round. It was like a clear, like, okay, what is Wilder waiting for? What's going on? I know Ortiz is not hurting him. I know Wilder looks relaxed, but what's going on? And it seems like the first punch he landed against Ortiz went down, and that was that. Um, this is not going to be that fight, you know. Um, Tyson Fury's already had experience. I'm sure he has the mental advantage going into this fight, but we can't even say that because this will be Fury's first title defense ever.
Yes.
So the last time he won, he left the sport
Mhm.
because of mental health issues. I mean, I'm sure it had involved other things too, but we really just don't know. It's so many unknowns with this fight. I think after the fight, I think this fight is going to answer a lot of questions about both fighters. And then we could come to some sort of conclusion on how we feel about these guys. Because now, Usyk just beat Joshua the other day. It was an amazing performance, and we're sitting here
Amazing.
talking about, well,
Amazing.
everybody's talking about how uh overrated Joshua is, and I'm like, we're not talking about enough about how great Usyk is.
Mhm.
And now we have to have a new discussion. It's okay, well, if Usyk is to fight Wilder or Fury,
Mhm.
who wins those fights? You
I have
know?
my theory about this, if I can share with you.
Yeah.
Um, uh, because Saturday, Usyk was amazing. Like it or not, the guy was on another stratosphere. Why? Because Joshua. Okay, Joshua. It wasn't his best night, but he was disciplined. He was disciplined all the time. So we can be agreed that Joshua make uh, did a lot of mistake. He was very disciplined. So that means that Usyk was, in terms of strategy and technique, he was great. Now look at Fury Wilder 2 and put on mute. Look the fight with no sound. Sorry to say, but it's ugly to watch. It's not the beautiful boxing that you can see on different fight. So in terms of technique and strategy, I think we put Fury.
Usyk is way above Fury from what I
eh,
saw. I've never seen
Thank
Fury
you,
look that good. I
thank
never
you.
see Fury. And listen, I'm gonna say it because I haven't said it because I've been making videos talking about Usyk against Joshua. And listen, Joshua that night looked great to me. It's just, I mean, no, I'm saying when I say he looked great, I mean as far as like I'm comparing Joshua's performances and just the way he was moving. He was prepared, but Usyk was so much better. He made Joshua look bad.
Yeah,
But Joshua was doing. He wasn't. It wasn't a Ruiz fight.
no,
Joshua was at his
exactly.
best that night, and
Mhm.
Usyk was so much better. I I was watching some of the fight yesterday again, and I said to that made a video, and I said, if you can look at Usyk and just watch him, just don't even focus on Joshua. Just look at Usyk and look at how many things he's doing at one
Mhm.
time. Within each second, Usyk is doing a million things with his body.
Yeah.
And Joshua don't, he's just like, yo,
Mm.
I can't even, like, this guy is doing so much. I can't even, like, time him. Because whenever I'm setting up to throw this right hand, because he's a southpaw and I'm a right hand. Remember when Charles Martin was right there to get hit? The
Mm.
target was right there. Charles Martin would step to the side and Joshua would just pivot and follow him with that right hand. and catch him 2 times in a row, which made the fight get stopped,
Yeah.
Usyk was never there. In fact, not only did Usyk, because we were looking at the Tony Bellew fight, we was looking at the Breeders fight, we looking at all these fights, and you know what? Usyk fought at the level of his opponents every single time. When he stepped up to Joshua, he took it to a whole nother level. You think I
And
move well? You think I got great angles now? Wait till you see me against a guy that everyone thinks I'm gonna lose to.
mm,
And he took it to a whole new level. His head was like all over the place. His lead hand was all over the place. His feet were all over the place.
yes.
It was just too much. I said yesterday,
And
I'm watching the fight on the zone, and it felt like it was being sped up. But the time was still ticking, like 1 second, 2 second, 3 second. But Usyk was moving around so fast. I'm like, God damn, that's too much. That's too much. You know? And I know Joshua wants to rematch. It's in the clause. So if you have an opportunity to go and fight again, yeah. But this guy's levels above Joshua. He's levels above Joshua. It's not even close.
and what is crazy, because I'm agree with all you say, Paul. But what is agree that Usyk show that he has this, because he took some big right from Joshua, not a lot, but he took some,
Yeah, he
and
did.
he took some, and he didn't freeze. He didn't at all. And he showed also that as an heavyweight, Usyk has a decent power, a respectable power, because Joshua was respected his power a lot, and the guy who has the spaghetti, the chicken dance, it was Joshua, not Usyk, after the big
He did a few
left.
times. A few times.
So
Yeah.
that's mean the he really transformed himself as a heavyweight. He has a decent power, a respectable power as a heavyweight. He has the chin a good chin for a heavyweight. So if you give me a matchup Fury Usyk, I'm sorry guys, but 100% with Usyk. With what I saw Saturday, 100% with Usyk.
Yeah. Another thing is too, Otto Wallin.
Hmm.
Otto Wallin Southpaw gave
Yes,
Fury
you're
a
right.
lot of trouble.
Yeah.
Okay. He was doing a lot of things
And Otto Wallin,
that
it's
Usyk does,
way,
but
way
on a
below,
much
way below,
lower
way below.
scale.
Way. Yeah.
A much lower scale.
Yeah.
He's like a watered down Usyk. Okay. As far as activity and pressure, Wallin was doing the right thing.
Mhm.
But he doesn't move like Usyk. Usyk is off the line. Everything is going on, I mean, Usyk would be a hard fight for Fury. You know,
Yeah.
offensively, he would be hard for Wilder too. See,
Mm.
Wilder's tricky because Wilder, it's hard to predict Wilder fights
But you
because
know what? You know what? I'm
if
agree
it's a
with you
12,
too. If the one who has maybe a bigger chance is Wilder, because a crazy Wilder can uh, can do something that Usyk is not ready for, you know.
yeah, yeah.
But it's maybe a question of 2-3 rounds. You have maybe a window of 2-3 rounds, and after that, it's over for Wilder. But
Wilder's always going to be the wild card.
yes,
He's
yeah,
always going to be
yes,
the wild card. When I say that, is just what you love him or hate Wilder, love or hate Wilder. Wilder is not there because of his technique. He's never been there. Like the first person I felt like really exposed that with Wilder was Arthur Spilka,
Mhm.
because Arthur Spilka to me was outboxing Wilder.
Exactly.
He was making him look
Yeah.
sloppy.
Mhm.
And while I'm watching that fight, I'm like, okay, all the issues that I felt Wilder had before this fight, Arthur Spilka was exposing those issues. But then out of nowhere, what happened? Wilder caught him, and this guy went to sleep, and he had to be stretched out. And you just never know with this dude. He could be outboxed, and then out of nowhere, he lands a right hand, and then what happened?
Boom.
Charles Edward Cheese, thank you for the super donation. Thank you. Um,
Yeah.
it's and
Hey,
he's the
Charles,
wild
if you can
card in it.
subscribe to my channel, it would be great.
Yo, subscribe to my man Captain Hook. But yo, he is the wild card, man. Like he it's very hard to predict him. And I've talked about these 3 years. I've been switching up over the years.
Mhm.
You know, back then in the very beginning, I said Wilder, Joshua, boom. Joshua, I feel like I can outbox him, can win rounds. But then Wilder, I feel like Wilder, if he landed one punch, he would get him out. Elite. Oh, man.
Wow.
Yo, thank you. Thank you for the donations, man. Thank you for the donations. Jesus Christ. These two are my biggest support.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you very much, man. Thank you. You can't predict it. You just can't with Wilder. But with Fury is the guy before Usyk came up into the picture, right? Fury is always the guy that the world felt was the most skilled.
Yeah, but
As skilled as
that's
he is,
it
I
was always
still
something that.
feel that. Yeah, you go. Yeah,
Okay,
you got it.
sorry.
You go.
And this point, it's always something that I was not agree with, almost frustrated about the narrative that Fury is so skilled. It's so skilled. Yes, against Klitschko, he put a good boxing night. He box.
Yeah.
He box. Okay. And he can do that with his weird body. Okay, but Fury also play the card of the technical fighter, but at the end, most of the time, at the end, he will bring and he will let speak the dirty and his body. Look at the fight against Hammer long time ago. Look at the fight against Cunningham.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he finished Cunningham. It was dirty. It wasn't
Yeah.
clean. It wasn't
It
clean
wasn't
at
clean.
all. And
Yeah.
look at the
Even the
second.
Wilder rematch, it wasn't really clean, man.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't beautiful to watch.
He was catching right hands, but he was turning them good, so he didn't get
Yeah.
the full impact of them.
So
But in the first fight,
for me, it's fake. For me, it's just a face, if I can say. You understand my idea, but Usyk for real is the technical fighter for real. But I still question the narrative about Fury. That he's so technical, it's crazy. Come on, give me a break. Sorry, but
I think I think Fury. I don't even say. Well, what I say is when I break down Fury, I think his technique is good, but it has a lot to do with the size. His size. His size makes it where, like, how can a guy that's 6'9", that heavy, move that way? And that's what it is. I think it's more of his size. If Fury just took his skill set alone, if you're just taking his skills alone and you put him in a smaller division, if you put him at 175, I don't particularly think that he's better than Better Biev or Bivol.
thank you.
Usyk is a guy that I just feel is elite, to a point where he can fight in any division and give anyone hell. He can give anyone hell. There's only a few fighters that I think that's like that. Lomachenko is one of those guys. I know he lost to Tio, but I still feel that Lomachenko, if we're talking about the skills, I think Lomachenko is someone that could give anyone hell. Terrence Crawford, he'll give anyone hell. You know, it's not too many people. Even Canelo, I think Canelo, even with the tough fights he had, I still think like, damn, this guy developed and got so much better because of
Mm.
the people he was facing. You know, Lara made him so much better. That Lara fight, whether you thought he won or lost that shit, man, that Lara fight made him so much better.
So you have to question the real
And the
question
Mayweather fight.
is to question the reality of the heavyweight division. What is the real level of the heavyweight division? You know, it's maybe below so different division like the middleweight, the lightweight. You know,
Hmm.
it's not that great in term of skills. You know, and it's also the reason why Usyk will perform so well in the division.
Hmm.
Yo, what's going
Yeah.
on, bro? What's going on, man? Word up, bro. Word up. What's going on, man?
What's happening,
Well,
man?
I
What's
watched
up?
the fight, bro. Listen, these mans are not coming out like fighting and all this bullshit, bro. AJ didn't have anything to bring to the table in that fight. This man's just walked out like a robot. He was looking like something that you buy in a supermarket. It was like that. He wasn't doing shit, man. So the way I look at it, he got beat, and that's that. That's that. He got beat, bro.
What do you think of Usyk against Wilder and Fury?
Let me just get these headphones on, fam. Yo, what's going on? Is this guy from France here? France?
Yeah.
Bonjour, mon ami, mon ami.
Hello,
Let's
bit
go
of
with the mon
fun.
amis, bro. Oh, yeah. Je m'appelle Philippe. J'habite Birmingham en Angleterre, mon ami. Yo, yo, yo.
And you're bilingual.
Non, je parle anglais seulement. Anglais seulement. Je parle petit peu français. I don't speak French, bro. But listen, that man, AJ, he came out in that fight. He didn't do a damn thing that was good. He didn't clinch. He didn't punch. He didn't come forward. He stayed on the back foot. He should have been a bit more less English. I'm English, less English, and he should have attacked that guy. He should have attacked that guy. He didn't attack him, and he lost. This guy was fighting in his own city, and he got beat in London. You're fighting in your own city, and you got beat. That's very bad. That's very, very bad.
I mean, fighters lose. I mean, it's not, it's not the end of the world.
He's a good fighter. I love AJ to bits, but he said he was never a great. He said that he's still learning and everything. The beauty of him, he knows what he is. He's not lied to people or made out that he was a great fighter. So I do actually think AJ is a very nice man. He's a lovely guy, man, and he's got a nice personality. And I'm not just saying that, but he's not Lennox. This ain't Lennox 2.0.
No.
Not Lennox.
Well, listen,
bro.
let me just
But-
say this. AJ is not Lennox. AJ is AJ. First of all, he's not Lennox.
Mhm.
And Usyk is not just he's not the rest of these guys neither that AJ fought.
Yeah.
I think AJ could have done better, but maybe you never know. Maybe he comes in with the game plan that everyone is saying that he should have came in with, and maybe that causes him to get knocked out in the next fight. You never know. I mean, what he did in this fight, or what he failed to do in this fight, what people are saying he failed to do in this fight, might have caused him to get knocked out. We really don't know. We won't know until the rematch.
Yeah.
Is
I
it
just
AJ not good enough, or is Usyk just too good?
yeah.
I
I
think
don't.
Usyk is
I,
just too good.
yeah. I don't think he's all that. He's like he
little bit
started
of both.
a bit of both. There you go. There you go. A bit of both. That's it. Demi. What's the word in French? Demi is half.
Yeah, it's half.
The
But
half
so,
demi. There you go.
Philip, it's also the question is how he can prepare for the fight in terms of strategy. So, do you think the corner has no response for him? So he has to change something. What do you think?
Oui, oui, je pense la stratégie pour AG, c'est nul, c'est nul, c'est not good. It was shit, bro. Merde. What's the word? Merde.
Yeah.
Je pense la stratégie pour AJ, la mentalité, c'est merde. You got a bit of French from me there. You got a bit of French. Did you understand that?
Yeah, I understand everything.
I said he's.
Maybe I have to translate for the audience of the show. You know.
I just said that his brain was a bit strange. It was a bit. He didn't have the mentality to fight the right fight. I thought he was a bit base. So I said to this guy, the French guy, I said that his brain was not there. His brain was not there. C'est nul, c'est nul. I don't speak French. This is quite good.
But yes, Paul,
Well,
maybe this corner wasn't there too. You know.
all right.
Where?
Well, listen, bit of fun. Thank you for checking in, man.
Yeah, man.
Appreciate
Enjoy yourselves, bro. I'm gonna shoot
All
off,
right.
bro. Look after
Take care,
yourself.
man. My man was what we call lit. He was having a good time, man, having some nice drinks. But
drinks with an S at the end.
But you know, going back to what we were saying, you know, I think with Usyk, I think I haven't heard anyone bring up the fact that what's this fight? Otto Wallin, you know, and his fight with Fury, you know, when people are still like, you know, compare if you really, you know, really compare him and what he did with Fury, you know, he cut Fury with a punch, you know, and gave Fury some trouble early. Fury came back and won clearly, for sure. But we can't totally dismiss, you know, Usyk as in being, you know, people are looking at it what AJ didn't do or how AJ is not good enough, yada, yada, yada. And people are not giving Usyk the credit for being that guy to move up and do what he did. You got to remember, AJ beat a whole lot of guys at the heavyweight division. And there's no doubt in my mind that Usyk would beat every single one of those guys that AJ beat. No doubt. I mean, I remember even when Klitschko was saying that their sparring session was rough. His sparring session with Usyk was rough.
You're right. Yes,
you know,
you're right. He
was
the
rough,
sparring partner of Klitschko for I don't remember which fight, but you're right.
Yeah. You know, people want to sit here and talk
and
about
he was a
Usyk
cruiserweight at that time. He was a cruiserweight at that time.
Yes. And people want to act like the Povetkin fight doesn't mean anything. Well, Povetkin knocked out Dillian White 2 years later after Joshua beat him.
Yeah.
You know, that says a lot, you know, and Dillian White, you feel what you want about him. He's up there. He's up there. He's right below the champions. He's right, the first guy right below those dudes. You know, he wouldn't beat everybody, but as far as the guys that are not champions, he's been consistent. Joseph Parker wasn't champion. You know, Joseph Parker
he can bring the fight to anybody.
Yes. Joseph Parker beat Andy Ruiz and Dillian White beat him. You know, and guess what? Povetkin went in there and knocked them out 2 years after AJ did it. You know, like people are forgetting for Usyk to go in there and school AJ the way he did. School him completely. It wasn't like the Ruiz fight. No, he completely schooled them. People are not giving that man enough credit.
Paul, what do you believe? If you are inside the head of Anthony Joshua today, is it more difficult to face the reality after the Ruiz fight or after the Usyk fight? Because
After
the
the Usyk fight,
Mhm,
absolutely,
mhm.
absolutely. I think AJ was more embarrassed than anything. You come to New York,
Yeah,
you want to put on a show. That's exactly why he screwed up. You got to remember, Deontay Wilder had just had this crazy highlight knockout of Dominic Brazil a
yeah,
couple weeks before that.
yeah,
That thing was a whole meme. People were creating
yeah,
memes of
yeah,
Dominic
yeah,
Brazil
yeah,
getting
you're
knocked
right.
out. So Joshua comes to New York, never been here fighting, and he goes in there and he hurts Ruiz, drops him, and he tries to finish him off in the most reckless way possible. You try to exchange hooks with a hooker, and you got knocked out. Well, not knocked out, but you got caught, and you got eventually got stopped. And and that was a problem. You try to show off from New York. No, fight your fight. Win the fight. Don't worry about what people in New York is going to think about you. Fight your fight. And he didn't. And he paid for it. And he was embarrassed. I saw this interview when he was walking. He said because he was here in New York for like a week after that loss.
Yeah,
And I saw an interview of him saying something like, I was walking around in New York, and this guy came up to me and was like, yo, ain't you the guy that just lost to that little chubby guy? And he felt embarrassed. I think it was more embarrassing than anything else.
mm,
But it wasn't like AJ felt like he couldn't beat that guy. No, AJ knew he could have been, but he was overconfident. Whereas Usyk, AJ got to be sitting home like, damn, how the hell am I going to beat this guy? I'm sure he's listening to the people and the reactions, and I'm sure he's sitting there like, do I have to fire Rob McCracken? Do I need more trainers? What can I do? Should I change my strategy? I'm sure he's sitting around thinking about what the hell am I
mm.
going to do to beat this dude?
The, you're right. The question mark is big for Anthony Joshua, and it will be a tough time for him if in terms of management, because maybe he will have to change somebody in his team. It's never easy. And also the question mark, also we have to emphasize on the question mark, because since the Ruiz debacle, we have just one fight we see Joshua pretty good. It's against Pulev, because the rematch with Ruiz, don't forget, sometimes we speak and we go too fast on what we say. So he
Yeah.
changed the strategy. He boxed the guy. He was on his back foot. He was more safety first.
Mm-hmm.
But don't you have to remember that Ruiz didn't come to the fight seriously.
Yeah.
He
And plus his
it's
styles.
it was
It's his style
disgusting
show.
that he didn't try.
He didn't
Don't
prepare. He
forget
didn't
that Ruiz
prepare.
was a mess for the
Yeah.
rematch. Ruiz was a
He
mess,
was
and
overweight.
in the way Ruiz helped so much Joshua. So the
Yeah.
question mark is there since a long time with Joshua, and when your next matchup is not Fury, is not Wilder, and you say, okay, it's Usyk, it's a cruiserweight, okay, I'm the favorite. Boom, we see what's happened last Saturday.
Yeah. I was gonna say, uh, you know, do you watch any other sports? Like, do you watch any sports that involves a playoff
Yes,
where
yes.
there's certain rounds you have to go?
Mhm,
Now, if you lose in the first round, like for example, the NBA,
mhm.
if you lose in the first round of the playoffs and that team end up winning the championship, the first round loss seems so bad until you realize you lost to the
to the
champs.
champion. Yeah.
What if Usyk goes on to beat the winner of Wilder and Fury? Does the loss seem so bad? It seems horrible right now.
Yeah.
But what if Usyk actually proves that he's the best heavyweight in the world? See, everybody's talking about how AJ, isn't good enough. He got exposed. He's robotic. Yada, he's too stiff. That's that and the third. But what if
Yeah,
this
it's not
guy
fair.
goes on
It's
and
not fair
beats
because
the
he was
very
he faced a genius, so it's not fair to say that. Yes, you're right. You're right.
yeah, like we don't know. Like I'm not talking about Usyk. I know how good Usyk is.
Mhm.
I'm fully aware of it. I mean, I knew it before the fight, but I still thought AJ was going to do enough to win. But even after the fight, he's only proven to me even more so that how good he is. But if he is to go on to beat the winner of Wilder and Fury 3 and become undisputed, well, then it's like, well, you know what? AJ lost to the best guy in the world. It's not so bad, but we won't know that. Right now, we're thinking about what AJ, what he didn't do, what he could have done, what he needs to work on, who he needs to bring into camp. We're focused so much on that, and we're not even focused on, well, he might have possibly just lost to the baddest man on the planet. Possibly. Shout out to EC real quick. Thank you for the donation. AJ did hurt Usyk at times. What if his strategy is the same but more aggressive at these times? Not like Ruiz. He might lose on points, but going for a knockout at those times might be his way to win. I mean, yes. I hear you. I definitely hear you. But we don't know. We don't know if that strategy might work. You got to remember, AJ finished this fight almost getting stopped.
Yeah.
We can't forget that. Yes, he hurt. He hurt Usyk a few times. Or I mean, he landed some good shots against Usyk. But I only seen one man hurt. Like really hurt. And that was AJ. That wasn't Usyk. Usyk backed up a few times like, okay, you rocked me with a good shot.
But the chin was
Gotta
there.
back up
The
off
chin
for the
was there.
moment. But AJ was the guy that I saw hurt more than a few times and almost getting stopped. So when people bring up things like, well, AJ should have followed up with this or he should have followed up with that. And I'm saying, yeah, but there's only one person that I've seen react in a way where this guy is hurt, and that was AJ, not Usyk. Usyk was never in real danger.
And he was comfortable with this freedom. Usyk was, like a automatic pilot at some point. And the 12th round was crazy because he rushed. He made a statement on the final round. Usyk made a statement. For me, I was so impressed. I couldn't believe what I saw. That Usyk bring all the activities, all the energy at the end of the fight on the final round for him, because it's almost he defied the nature of this body. It's a guy who come from a lower class weight class, so he has to change his body and to have all the gas in the tank at the end of the fight. I was so impressed.
And people are overlooking that, by the way. People are overlooking that. That's the most important factor out of all of this. This guy fought the 12th round like it was the first round.
Exactly. To put the statement that I won this fight, for the last impression. He won the last impression.
Yeah. Like whoever thinks he fought that 12th round as if he was losing the fight. Usyk fought the 12th round as if he was losing the fight. He fought the 12th round as if he thought in his mind he was down on the cards.
Exactly.
He didn't fight. I thought at that point he did more than enough to win.
He didn't trust the judge.
No.
Yeah.
And guess what? With that being said, he almost ended up stopping AJ. He almost stopped him. He almost stopped him.
That's crazy to
If
think.
it was a 13th round, it might have been that might have been it. You know? Might have been it. Thank you, EC. Thank you again. I agree with all that, but he definitely can't win on points from what I saw. That's all there is to look forward to since the fight will happen. Well, I agree. I agree with you there. I think if AJ is gonna is gonna rematch him, right? I think if AJ rematches him, he needs to focus on the knockout. You're not gonna outbox this dude, and
But
you're not gonna outwork him neither. You're not
um,
gonna. It doesn't matter how slim you get, how your AJ's conditioning was still pretty good.
yeah,
And for the most part, his durability, he was very durable. I mean, listen, if he wasn't, he would have got slept. But at the end of the day, this guy was still a couple of levels above him. You
mm,
know, AJ had a hard time following him, and keeping up with him. And just you notice that people don't, another thing that people are not mentioning, AJ not throwing punches and just trying to follow him
yeah,
burned him out.
yeah. He was
Yeah,
tight. He was so tight.
yeah, he was tight. Just
Mm,
for a guy, everybody's talking about conditioning and stamina and being able to fight without getting tired. AJ looked tired just by trying to keep up with him. It
yeah,
just seemed like it was exhausting just
mm,
to try to follow this guy. Just look at his feet and him trying to keep up. I know AJ was light on his feet as far as like, he was prepared to fight for 12 rounds for sure. But just him just trying to follow Usyk, who wasn't there in front of him at no point. He wasn't there. See, Fury is great. Like, he's slick. He could roll punches well. He
yeah,
could turn punches well. But Usyk was a different. I never seen Fury. Going back to what we were saying earlier about Fury and comparing technique, I
mm.
never seen Fury move like that.
No.
I never seen him move like that. I even when he was showboating against Tom Swartz, right? And he was doing
Mm,
he was doing a rope a dope, and he was, shuffling around, and he was, slipping shots. I've never seen Fury move like that guy. That guy was a machine, and it didn't even look real. It looked like a damn video game.
yeah, yeah,
I just, and Joshua looked tired just trying to follow him. And someone said earlier, what if Wilder landed the right hand? Well, what if he doesn't? That's the thing. When people say, yeah, we know Wilder got incredible power. Somebody said this earlier. What if Wilder landed the right hand? Well, what if he didn't? Or what if he landed a few but didn't knock him out? What about, how would Wilder take Usyk's shots? How
also,
would he, how many, like,
mhm,
what if, like, part of the reason why Wilder lost that second round is because he was forced to fight backwards. If Usyk forced him to fight backwards like
exactly.
Fury did, but his offense is much greater, because Fury's offense was never really that explosive.
No.
It was never, neither one of those fights. It was never really that explosive. That's the conflict of the first fight. The conflict of the first fight is Fury showed amazing defense and he made Wilder miss all night. But what was he, hitting him with? It wasn't much. The second fight, yes, he was sitting down on the punches. The right hands and the body shots hurt more. But he wasn't like Usyk. He wasn't like high
But
volume.
you know what? Usyk, only with his jab, Usyk show that he's on another level of skills if you compare with Fury. Only with the jab. He can have the inside jab, he can have the overhand jab, he can have on the side. He's always Fury
Yeah.
cannot do that. He can switch sometime as a southpaw, but except one fight at the beginning of his career, when he switched southpaw, it's 30 seconds. That's it. That's all. Fury is no Crawford, in terms of switch. So Fury will learn a lot if he faces Usyk. Believe me.
Yeah, I think they all. It's gonna be a hard fight for anybody, man.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a hard fight. I don't know who's gonna win this rematch. And I believe the winner of this rematch is gonna go straight into mandatory defense against Dillian White, or Otto Wallin winner. Okay. But in the meantime, Joshua is gonna have to face this guy again, and I do believe that at this time, Joshua needs to knock. You don't want to go 12 rounds with this guy. You don't
But
want to go 12 rounds.
what is really impressive also with what we saw last Saturday, it's Usyk completely changed the landscape, because few weeks ago we were talking together on my channel, and we were talking about the AJ Fury fight, but since Saturday it disappeared.
Just like that, and
Completely
that's how
disappeared.
boxing is. Yeah.
Usyk make disappear the biggest matchup in the boxing world. That's crazy to think.
Yeah, but what if what's crazier?
Yeah.
What if Wilder wins?
Yes.
I'm just saying, it won't be the craziest thing I've ever seen. We saw what happened in the first fight. Yeah, I mean, I believe Fury did enough to win on points, but look at that 12th round. What if Fury didn't get up? Or what if the ref just waved it off? This would have changed everything. But let's just say Fury goes in there, he's slept on Wilder. Let's just say that he's not his best, or let's just say Wilder's just better and he catches him. It changes everything. Everything that's happened this point, that led up to this point, where just a few months back, Joshua was going to fight Tyson Fury in an undisputed matchup. Usyk agreed to step aside, not knowing that if AJ fought Fury for undisputed, we don't even realize that there's a ticking time bomb right on the side, waiting for his opportunity to get his shot. And we wouldn't have even known that Usyk would have destroyed AJ if he had fought him before getting to Fury.
Yeah.
It just, this is why part of the reason why, and I don't fully blame it on the boxers. I blame it more on the promoters, because a lot of the promoters and these matchmakers, they have a team of matchmakers. They know what's up. They know they are experts in predicting these fights and knowing the outcomes and studying the outcomes of these fighters. And this is why they carefully select who people fight. They know how certain fighters, they might, as far as status, they might not have the greater resume, but they know the styles counts, and they know, like, what, this guy is a stylistic matchup, like a nightmare for my fighter. This guy is a nightmare, and a lot of people predicted it. I didn't, but a lot of people was very positive and confident that Usyk would school Anthony Joshua. And they were right.
Yeah.
You got to say it. They were right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
This is boxing, man. It's not a team sport. It's not the best of 7. It's one fight, and that's it. It's one fight, and that's it. You might have a rematch here and there, but, man, I want, and you know what, as a boxing fan, at the end of the day, I want undisputed. I don't care who it is. I want undisputed. I'm disappointed, but at the same time, Usyk proved to me that AJ is not the best heavyweight. He's just not. Usyk proved it, though. Fury didn't prove it. Wilder didn't prove it. Usyk did.
Yeah. Yeah, and he stole something from Fury, because Fury was he created the persona that he will school everybody. It was just speculation, but with his big mouth, we all more or less agree with the fact that Fury could school everybody. That's
Mhm.
not the case anymore. The real teacher now in the division, it's Usyk, and the the persona of Fury changed also a lot after this weekend, in my opinion.
Who do you think has the best chance of being Usyk?
Again, I think you have to fight. It makes no sense to try to box Usyk, in my opinion. You will always be trapped by the Usyk style, and AJ was trapped, in the Usyk style. In my opinion, I give more. It's just speculation, but I give more chance to a wild dog, like Wilder or like Dillian White. Look at the fight with Chisora.
I just want to see if we were gonna
Look,
see it the
look
same
at the
way.
fight Usyk and Chisora. Chisora was he boxed like Chisora. It
Yeah.
big big hit from everywhere. And Usyk was less comfortable than last Saturday. So if you try to be clean, to box, to be disciplined too much, you let the runs go, and
Yeah.
for
You
in
gotta
my
be
opinion,
different.
no, and
Yeah.
you have
Yeah.
to. It's like the casino at Las Vegas. You have to believe in your chance, on your punching chance.
Right.
On the X factor. And it's weird to say. It's weird to say because it's maybe the less technical fighter of the division. But in my opinion, Wilder has more chance than all the other fighters who are more disciplined, more skills, more fundamentally sound. That's weird, but I see like that.
I feel the same as you.
Mhm.
I think I say two people. I'm not saying they would win, but I think they would have a better chance because
Yes.
of their style.
Mhm.
I say Wilder because, like I said earlier, he's the wild card. It takes one punch with him. I think Usyk would outbox him clearly, but I also think that Wilder can land something that can hurt him. It doesn't always work. It didn't work against Fury, obviously,
Yeah.
but it's still one of those things that it can happen, right?
Yeah.
And then I would say Dillian White. Why? Because Dillian White is going to do what Chisora did, but better to me.
Mhm.
Dillian White's a better boxer.
Mhm.
And I think he's going to be aggressive. Okay,
Yeah.
he's not going to let Usyk play around and do what he wants. He's going to force Usyk to have to evade him in some sense, like Chisora was doing. Chisora did better than AJ to me. I've said this several times on the channel. I don't know if you agree, but I think Chisora did better because Chisora went in there and he didn't. I'm not going to box with you. I'm not
Yeah,
going to play these games.
that
I'm
makes
gonna
no
I'm gonna
sense.
turn this into a street fight. If I'm gonna
Yeah.
be spinning around in order to keep and track you, I'm gonna do whatever I have to do. You're gonna catch me, but you know what? Usyk wasn't able to really sit down and crack like he was with AJ.
And
AJ was a lot
and
more patience there.
and Usyk was pushed on the rope against Chisora and not against Anthony. You know,
Yeah.
you have to push Usyk on the rope. Don't give him space because the guy
Oh, don't give him no
is too much.
time. Turn
Yeah,
into a street fight.
yeah,
Turn into a street fight.
yeah.
See, Breedis,
Marvin Hagler style, Marvin Hagler mentality.
yeah.
Maybe I will be a knockout, but maybe I will knock out the guy. Hagler Ernst. That's the way. That's the way. You go this way. You sacrifice yourself. You give it to yourself 5 rounds max, and that's it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I think when a guy boxes that well, you have to do something to throw them off, and I think that's what I think Wilder. Yeah, I don't think Wilder always fought the best fighters, but I think with Wilder, the reason why he got as far as he did is because of the fact that he he was very unorthodox. I think his athleticism played a huge part outside of his power. And I think that because he didn't have the technique like all these other guys, I think that's got him that far. Like even like when I look at a fighter like Rolly Romero, right? Like I'm not saying I don't even think he's gonna make it as far as Wilder as far as success. But when I look at Rolly Romero, he fights like a street fighter. Like he doesn't have the technique at all. Like, I'm watching him like, God, he does this wrong. He does that. Look at his feet. Look at the way he's standing. Look at the way he's throwing these punches. Yet he's been beating boxers, and not the very elite yet, but I don't think his style, I think the fact that he doesn't fight in a traditional way is what is very beneficial towards him. Got a couple people joining in. What's up, Richard, man? What's up, Kangaroo Jack?
How are we, fellas?
Thanks, man. How you doing, BoxingWave? Good night.
What's
Captain
going on,
Hope.
guys? Peace,
Hey,
peace,
Richard.
peace. What you
Kangaroo.
guys think?
Can you hear me quite well?
Yeah, either one of you could go first.
You go, Richard.
Oh, thanks, man. BoxingWave, got a lot of respect for you. You tell it like it is from your point of view. I salute. I'm a big boxing fan, London, England calling here, and listening to the Usyk victory, which was pretty unexpected from my side.
Mm-hmm.
I've got to salute Alexander Usyk. Tremendous performance. Brought it, continued the outstanding Ukrainian line of boxing, led by the likes of the Klitschko's and Lomachenko. My question, and I have to ask it, is from a historical boxing perspective and pertaining to today's current generation of boxers. AJ, in some quarters here, the reaction in England has been, in some quarters, why did he take the Usyk fight? It was a dangerous fight for those in the know because Usyk is such a technically gifted and hungry fighter. My question is, in light of the fact that loads of people were salivating over the Fury AJ matchup, what's your take, honestly, in terms of AJ taking this Usyk fight? Do you think that a champ who believes and says he's the best and is not fearful of the likes of Tyson Fury, bring it on, I'll take care of business, do you think that it would be right in your eyes as fans for AJ to have docked Usyk by any means necessary, financial or otherwise, taken an easier option just in order to save his record for a lucrative matchup with Tyson Fury? As a boxing fan, I make no apologies. I wanted him to fight Usyk, take him out. Didn't think Usyk was going to knock him out.
Yeah.
AJ seemed very confident, very calm. In the heavyweight game, oftentimes people say, well, you know what? The punch, it just takes one punch. In this contest leading up to it, nobody over here was talking about one punch can change anything. It was going to be AJ with a knockout, if anything, or the size to get the job done. But my question is, how do you feel as fight fans with champions ducking or taking the easier option just in order to get the matchup? Because this fight clearly showed that AJ is not the premier heavyweight champion out there. Lovely fellow. He's been lovely fellow. Tremendous physique. But my question to you is, as fight fans, do you feel that a champ should duck and dive and take the easier option if necessary, e.g. leaving Usyk out of the scene in order to save themselves for a lucrative matchup against the likes of a Tyson Fury?
First of all, I just want to say that's a great question, and this is something that I thought about. I thought about before the fight happened, because this is something that they could have done everything in their power to avoid. All right. I think no matter how many people around the world felt that AJ was going to win, AJ was going to get the knockout, the reality is AJ was very confident in himself going into this fight. He was confident, and it showed in the fight. He wanted to outbox Alexander Usyk. You know why? Because everyone was saying that Usyk was the better boxer and that AJ needed to knock him out. And he went in there and he tried to box with Usyk. And he failed, but he kept it going, you know? And to be honest, I wish this is the problem with everything that's going on. It's inconsistent because some fighters are willing to take the chance and the challenge in fighting someone that is very dangerous. This guy was there. No one was really asking for the Usyk fight. And we were just so close to getting an undisputed fight. And we knew that this can possibly disrupt everything that's going on. But these guys decided to let him go and fight his mandatory anyway. Even Usyk agreed to step aside and let these guys fight. But even though him and Fury didn't, AJ and Fury didn't happen, he just said, you know what? I'm going to fight my mandatory. I'm not going to run. I'm going to do what I have to do. It looks bad now because he lost, right? But at the end of the day, if most fighters were doing what AJ did for this fight, everybody would have losses. You know, I said something earlier in this video. We were talking about rematch clauses and how it's ruining the sport. It's holding up certain divisions, right? It's holding up certain fighters from getting their title shot.
Definitely.
In the UFC, you know, you lose, it's not like an immediate rematch for the most part. You know, most of the time you have to just fight your way back up, and the next top guy gets their opportunity at the title. For the most part, here, most of the time, for the bigger names that get rematch clauses, I think it is a hold up. I think there shouldn't be in this situation, it shouldn't be an immediate rematch. All right, because Joshua just recently lost, and it's like I get a second go every single time that I lose, you know, and I think that's very unfair because not everyone gets those opportunities. Is based on your popularity and how much money and revenue you're bringing into the sport. So listen, why did they put him against Usyk? Well, the answer to that, it's the right thing to do. That guy earned his title. He moved up from a cruiserweight, a mandatory, because he was the WBO champ. He was undisputed, and he earned this opportunity before even fighting as a heavyweight. That's the way it should be done. And if it was done like that consistently, more of these fighters would have losses on their record. But we're so focused on being undefeated, keeping that O. I was saying this in my video earlier. I'm like, you know, we're focused on the O. Most fighters, once they lose, it's like, well, I don't want to fight them anymore. You know, and that's ridiculous. Devin Haney, I brought Devin Haney up earlier in my earlier video. Devin Haney, once Lomachenko lost, he was like, well, I don't want to fight him again. I don't want to fight him now because he just lost. I wanted to fight him before, but now I don't want to fight him. And I'm like, no, because Lomachenko can quickly bounce right back. And now you lost the opportunity because he beat Nakatani, was still is a better win than any Devin Haney win, in my opinion. And now he's right back in the mix, just like that. What you should have said was, no, I want to beat him better than Tio. Tio beat him, but it was questionable. I want to beat him at his best, you know, and prove that I can beat him better than Tio and get him out of here. So if every fighter did what AJ did for this fight, take on the dangerous mandatory, which has been Dillian White for a long time now, people would have more O's on their record. So that's how I feel about that. Kangaroo, what you got?
How are you, fellas?
What's up?
I'm a massive boxing heavyweight fan from Australia. I predicted personally that Usyk would get the decision. Because my view on that was the fact that I feel like AJ's scared to get in to act like a 6'7" heavyweight, if that makes sense. He seems like last few fights seems a bit scared to get involved in that sort of, in a mix-up, in a brawl. He's not interested in that. He doesn't want to. And in this fight, he decided to play a chess. He tried to play a chess game. He tried to, and he failed.
Yeah.
He failed. He literally tried to outbox Usyk, which you can't blame him. He probably thought he could do it, but Usyk is.
Canelo did against Floyd as well. Canelo did against Floyd. Same thing. Try to outbox.
You cannot go in there and try and outbox somebody that's technically awkward, because Usyk is awkward, but he's also very, very effing good at in range, out of range, footwork, ring craft, ring IQ. He's phenomenal, probably the best in the world, barring Tyson Fury when it comes to ring craft and also the ability to change it up during a fight, because AJ wasn't able to do that. He knew he was losing by points, so why couldn't he turn it into a brawl? Do you see what I'm saying? Why couldn't he lean on him? Why couldn't he get involved and turn it into a fight?
You think that if AJ had turned it into a brawl, I'm not saying that it wouldn't have been effective or not. I don't know. I think AJ should have changed something, and all I know is that what he was doing at the time wasn't working. So I feel like, in a way, when you're just gonna keep doing the same thing and it's not working, you're kind of forfeiting the match. Now, if he had turned into a brawl, it might have changed some things, but what if that led to him getting knocked out, because now he's leaving himself open to get hit more? So,
and remind him Ruiz fight.
Yeah, exactly my point. So I do believe AJ needed to do something. I think AJ went in there. Like I said, I really believe, I could be wrong. I don't know what's going on in AJ's head, but just the way that he moved in that ring, the way he was fighting in that ring that night, and based on what he said in his interviews, I really deeply feel that he went in there trying to match Usyk's boxing ability, and he made a very big mistake with that. You look good, you slim down, you move better, you're quicker, your stamina is much better, but there's levels. This guy has been fighting AJs for years. He's been fighting guys that fight like that for years. AJ, I've only seen him fight 2 southpaws. This is start at the southpaw thing. Now you're finding a highly advanced southpaw that is just, he doesn't even move and fight like every other southpaw on top of that. So I think AJ, he's just a learning process. One thing I like about AJ, and listen, this is why he's one of my favorite. I'm a big fan of AJ. You guys know. I love AJ because I like his character. And he acknowledges the fact that I'm still learning. He said that this is like a sparring for me, a learning lesson for me. Win or lose, this is me learning. But I felt at this stage, at 31, you have to adjust. And I expected more from him in that sense. Like, okay, this is not working. You got to go into a different plan. By the end of the 3rd round, something needed to change. And we never saw a change. He just stayed with it, and maybe he stayed with it because.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
No. You go roll. I made my point.
BoxingWave, you make a very interesting point here. If I'm not mistaken, did you earlier, after the after the fight say that Usyk beat the best version of AJ. If it wasn't you, it was another boxing analyst who said
No,
that
I
the
said that.
ironic. You said that, right?
Yes.
Bearing in the light of what AJ has said, I've not watched the fight. I listened to it. I listened to the commentary, and I was really in awe and full respect of Usyk. But in light of what you said, and bearing in mind we've acknowledged that perhaps AJ is still learning, and add to that, remember the Klitschko fight when he had to dig deep and came back to take victory in that terrific fight. Could
good
we
point.
say that? Could we say that we've not seen the best of AJ and his reaction? I have picked up his reaction since this latest loss, and he seems very cool and calm and collected, and says, "Of course, I'm looking forward to the rematch. I want to get that rematch. I'm looking forward to it because I've got more to come." I think that he's well capable and more than capable of stepping it up, bringing his size and his power to bear from the get-go, learning from this loss. We salute the fact that he was willing to actually attempt to outbox Usyk, but now he's seen that unanimously the judges says, no, you're not cutting it like that. Don't we panelists see every chance that AJ can actually rise to the occasion and again fight adversity? My main question mark as to whether he can is the second Ruiz fight, which I've not watched in its entirety. All I heard was Joshua seemed averse to danger, and he just wanted to attempt to win the fight and avoid getting hit. Chisora set a benchmark when he fought Usyk. In fact, those first two heavyweight fights, I mean, hand on heart, guys, those first two heavyweight outings for Usyk, that for me made me a little hesitant to say Usyk can take Joshua, because he didn't look to me the guy who's gonna get the job done. But yeah, but Chisora, he was prepared. He went rough school. He was prepared to potentially get knocked out if he gets knocked out, but he was gonna bring his game. I'm putting it to you that AJ could, if he overcomes this averse thing, and I don't know how easy that is for Joshua, but if he overcomes the averseness, because I don't think Usyk can knock him out, or can he? I think AJ can be victorious. But what say you? I've not seen the footage. I've only listened. What say you to that?
Well, this is what I'll say to that. I can only go by what I've seen and what was shown to me. When I say AJ is the best version of AJ, I mean like AJ came in prepped properly, as in I'm comparing like that AJ that you brought up in the Klitschko fight wouldn't stand a chance against the AJ that fought the other day. We also got to remember he came back from adversity against an older Klitschko that didn't have the killer instinct to finish him off when he had AJ hurt.
Good point.
AJ was still learning that night. He learned a lot about his own endurance. All right. He wasted a lot of energy throwing punches that weren't landing, that weren't connected, trying to finish off Klitschko. It was a major difference from the AJ that finished off Pulev that pretty much did the same thing. But he was still fit for the next round. Whereas when he did it against Klitschko, he was burnt out. Two different levels of AJs. AJ was heavier at that time. AJ knew more himself, like more of himself. He's more experienced at that time. So when we go back to the Klitschko fight, you got to remember Klitschko had him hurt. And when AJ did come back, get up, fight on, we got to remember AJ was still burnt out for a while. It took a couple of rounds after that. But he was fighting a 40-year-old Klitschko at that point that was out of the ring a couple more times for a couple more years. So when that happened, a younger Klitschko might have gotten AJ out of there that night in the same circumstances. See, we can only base it on what we see and what the real circumstances are. we can bring up a million what ifs in a million different scenarios. But
So,
AJ
Mike's
that
on.
night, even in defeat, I knew that at that point, AJ prepped right, moved right, looked good. It's just that he was fighting a guy that was confusing because he couldn't figure him out. Now, do I think he can come better prepared in a rematch? Absolutely, because he's actually been in a ring with him now. So he knows he can't win using the same kind of tactics as
He
the
has
first.
to put it on him. He has to put it on him straight away
Yeah.
from the first belt.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, we can sit here while we're in our homes and sit here and say a million different things that AJ needs to do in order to win the fight. But we won't know until that night. We don't even know if he's going to stick with the same team. We don't know anything.
We don't even know if he'll take the rematch.
Well, we won't know until the rematch. But all I know is that
Kangaroo, you're jumping around there, man. Kangaroo, you're jumping around. Mute that mic if you're jumping around while boxing's talking, man. There's a lot of ruffling going on, Holmes.
Yeah, all we know is that something needs to change. And again, we could come up with a bunch of what ifs. Even if we sit here and keep saying AJ needs to be more aggressive, I can never see AJ doing what Derek Chisora was doing. I can't see him being like that. He doesn't fight that way. Even as a more aggressive AJ, I can't see him fighting like that. Chisora turned it into a street fight.
He did.
AJ's never going to turn it into a street fight. First of all, he doesn't want to get hit. He doesn't want to get hit. And second of all,
good man,
there was no technique in what Chisora was doing. It was none. I'm the bigger guy. I'm going to bully you. I'm going to hit you in your arms. I'm going to hit you in your legs. I'm going to low blow you. I'm going to fight dirty. If you get knocked down, the referee is trying to separate us. I'm going to give you another shot. I'm going to do everything in my power to beat you. AJ has never fought like that before, and I don't actually see him. He has too much technique. He doesn't want to get hit. That is not him, man. That's not him. I'm not saying he can't be more aggressive. He could, but not the way Derek Chisora was that night. No way.
Derek Chisora, in my opinion, is the 5th best heavyweight in the world. And I don't care what anybody says. He causes problems for any heavyweight in the world.
No, he does. He's not easy for anyone, especially a motivated, prepared Chisora. Yeah. He's going to be tough for anybody.
Yeah.
I just don't think, but it's going to be a long night. It's like Sean Porter. You might beat him, but it's going to be a long night. You don't want to deal with it. You just don't want to. You're like, damn, I really got to fight this guy.
Yeah, you probably waking up like. I come to the perspective now that people on YouTube and commentary and all that, they talk up Joshua and all that. He's now lost twice. I don't see him. I've never seen him as the number 1 heavyweight. I think I see him as a number 3 because I believe Wilder knocks him into next week. Because styles make fights, and Anthony Joshua's too stiff. He's very stiff in regards to his fighting style. I put Andy Ruiz at number 4. And actually, to be honest with you, when Fury beats Wilder, I actually can't see anybody beating Fury because I just can't see it. Who's going to beat Fury? Who's going to rock up and outbox or put it on Fury? I just don't know because I've wanted to see it. I'm waiting to see it, but someone tell me what you have to do to beat Tyson Fury. He's got too much in his arsenal. I literally don't know because he can put it on you. He can turn it into a dogfight. He can act like a 6'9" heavyweight. He can do whatever he wants.
Let me ask you something. Offensively, right? All right, wait, real quick. What do you think? What fight do you think Fury's best performance was?
His best performance, in my personal opinion, ever.
Yeah.
When it comes to a brawl, I'm gonna say Steve Cunningham.
I mean, no, I mean, overall, not when it comes to anything. Just what do you think? Just overall, just what's your best like when you if you're showing somebody Tyson Fury, right, and you just want to show them, hey, watch this guy. What fight are you gonna go to?
Can I?
I'm gonna go to Derek Chisora when he fought Derek Chisora the second time. Him at keeping at bay, keeping him at distance, and absolutely outboxing a 6'3" small heavyweight.
Okay, Richard, what's yours, real quick?
Were you asking for? Are you asking for Fury's best fight?
What's his best? What's his best? Like you say, this is the fight. This is Tyson Fury. I want you to check him out. What fight are you gonna go to?
I'm gonna showcase two. The first one, incredible. When he beat Klitschko, the first time, I didn't think at the time he had any business, and he was extremely fortunate to even be in the same ring as Klitschko. I couldn't believe what he did in that fight, and just from seeing excerpts before, during, and after, the man's boxing IQ. He's Ali-esque in terms of his confidence, his braggadociousness, his confidence, his skills. He can psych people out, but he showed that he's not afraid of the big occasion. He's not afraid of taking on a champ. And the second fight against Deontay Wilder, well, I'd say that fight.
First a rematch.
Yeah.
First a rematch.
Yeah, I think the rematch. I mean, the first one, he looked like a terrific boxer. The fact that he got hit and went down twice, slightly took away, because the second fight he made Wilder look like the inferior boxer that he is. I'm looking forward to the third fight personally, because I want to see. I'm looking forward to seeing the best, quote unquote, of Deontay Wilder. But I think his boxing technique alone is just not in the same class as a Tyson Fury. So he literally has another boxer's chance. And I think, briefly, Fury to be beaten, I think complacency is his main opponent.
Definitely.
We just want to go around the room real quick. Captain Hook, what do you think is his best performance? What's the go-to fight for you?
For me, the first Wilder fight, because at least he was really perfect in terms of skills, but at least he faced somebody who wasn't freeze like Klitschko. Against Klitschko, it's a great performance, but Klitschko wasn't there. He didn't wake up that night. Klitschko, he was freeze for 12 rounds. At least against Wilder try and maybe knock him out at the first fight. So yes.
Okay.
The first fight.
Big O, you there? Big O?
Oh yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah. What's up, man? What's happening?
I'm all right, man.
Real quick, I know you're just joining us. What's your thoughts with Fury? If you had a go-to fight and say, like, this is his best performance, where do you go? Which fight?
I'll have to probably say either the Wilder 2 fight or for Chisora 2. Because Chisora 2,
okay.
Yeah, Chisora's a guy that, just can't keep off you. And Fury did that.
Definitely.
He made it look really easy,
I just real quickly, BoxingWave. I think people with what Captain Hook said when he said that Klitschko wasn't there in that first Fury fight, and Richard said he was completely surprised Fury shouldn't have been in the ring, which I agree. He literally, who would have thought Fury could have been in the ring with Vladimir Klitschko after beating Christian Hammer? It's like it's unbelievable. And when you said Klitschko wasn't there, but are we underestimating the herky jerky awkward style of Tyson Fury? 6'9", ability to make you overthink the situation, because he does that very, very well. This is the thing with Fury. He's already gotten into people's minds. People are saying, what is he doing? Has he got COVID? What games is he playing? Who knows what he's going to rock up in the press conference? Could there be a fight on stage? He's already got in your mind. He's done this for years, since he was going to fight David Hay years and years ago. He's always getting in your mind mentally. And I think it's unfair for people to underestimate Fury's ability to outbox you. I'd love to see Usyk versus Fury. That would be a proper chess match.
Me too.
Me too. Real quick. I'm gonna have to agree and say a couple of you guys. I honestly, I really like the Chisora rematch, because, and this is my stance on it. Fury displayed amazing defense, but I like the offense too. He stopped Chisora. He beat him up on top of showing the defense. I think Usyk, he had a rough time in there with Chisora. It just was rough. It wasn't pretty. Fury made it pretty. He made it look easy. He made it look like nothing. It was much more of improvement. But you got to also say too, that was the rematch. There was a second fight, and Fury looked better in the second fight as opposed to the first one with Chisora. But I love how he looked at that point. I remember at that moment, I don't know what I was doing at that time, but I remember at that moment that I saw that fight, I said, like, okay, Fury is amazing. Like, this guy is crazy for a heavyweight, and to be able to move that way and stuff like that. But, and I say all of that to say this, I've never been as impressed as I was with Usyk the other night. Defensively, offensively, I like what I saw with Usyk the other night. I just liked the amount of things that he was doing that night. Obviously, yes, I agree with you guys. They just need to scrap it out. They need to fight. I'm not predicting anything. I'm just saying what Usyk did against Joshua, I was more impressed with anything that I've seen in the other fights. Now, the shocking part about Fury stopping Wilder, it was crazy. Like, that was the craziest thing. Like, you guys were here. You saw my reaction. Some of you saw my reaction. I couldn't believe that Fury stopped Anthony Joshua. But nothing he did was amazing to me. It was just a bigger man walking down and landing big power shots against Wilder.
Oh, no.
I knew
You say
all this
Fury
time.
Joshua? Fury stopping Joshua?
Yeah, I mean, Fury and Wilder too. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Fury, what Fury did to Wilder that night was exposed a lot of the flaws that I knew Wilder had already.
Big time.
And Wilder was landing right hands. It's just that Fury's just walking him down. Like, he didn't care. Oh, right hand. Oh,
Kronk.
Another one.
Kronk style.
And he kept walking him down. It wasn't the pretty Fury, but he did what he had to do.
He was on a mission. He was on business.
Yeah, I like the Chisora rematch because we saw how slick he could be, but we also saw him make Chisora pay for every punch that he threw.
I'm going to have to watch that fight
on
again.
the other hand, we saw, like, I want to see great defense, and I've seen that from Tyson Fury time and time again. But what I saw with Usyk is I saw him being the aggressor, and I also saw him showing great display of defense. And that's why I'm most impressed with what Usyk did to Joshua.
You BoxingWave. This is the thing. I absolutely brilliant. Well done, Usyk. Well done. To come up from cruiserweight and beat arguably one of the best in the modern era at the moment. I think is brilliant. But I hope for Usyk's sake, if Fury gets over Wilder, which I think he will, and this rematch with AJ happens, or it doesn't happen, or AJ fights Dillian White, or something crazy happens, or Usyk and Joyce. If Usyk fights Tyson Fury, I think we're going to be saying I think we're going to be looking at another Derek Chisora Tyson Fury fight, because if Usyk gets into a chess match fight with Fury, Fury can outbox Usyk 100 million %. Right? But if it doesn't go to plan, Fury is good enough to change it up during the fight. He'll start elbowing, he'll start leaning, he'll start doing all that. Just go watch a Steve Cunningham fight. Steve Cunningham is no pushover. He is no pushover. Very technically gifted. Cruiserweight world champion. Technically very good. I like Steve Cunningham. Watched a few of his fights.
Yeah.
But soon as Fury was understood that he wasn't able to outbox Steve Cunningham, he turned it into an ugly fight where he leaned on the little cruiserweight, the little 6'3" cruiserweight, just absolutely bullied him. And Fury's done it all the time. Look at Otto Wallen, right? Otto Wallen came in, did the cut. Everybody was, quaking in their pants saying Otto Wallen's the best thing since sliced bread. But actually, watch the boxing fight. Fury absolutely destroyed him. Where does this whole thing come from? Oh, he got a cut on his eye. Otto Wallen now deserves a heavyweight title fight. I mean, Fury was dominating him, and he wasn't even trying to knock him out until the last 3 rounds. I don't understand people what they try and point out with things like this. But Fury's willing to take these easy opponents and give tomato cans and give these guys opportunities. But I just hope he doesn't slip up, because I believe that he is the number 1 heavyweight in the world at the moment, and he's proven it against everybody.
Just to add real quick, I think people jump on Otto Wallen because it was supposed to be just a tune-up, and no one expected it to be as competitive as it was. I know you're saying it wasn't that competitive. I know people probably overrated that performance, but you got to understand at the time, he's fought Tom Schwartz, he fought Otto Wallen, who never fought anyone. He didn't really have anything. He wasn't proving himself. And for him to give him the fight that he gave, Otto Wallen literally gave Fury a tougher fight than Wilder did in the rematch, if we're being real. So I think that's what happens when, you have some sort of tune-up fight or a step-up fighter guy that's stepping up, and, your Fury, the guy who's already, the top fighter, and then you give him a tough fight, tougher than Chisora, tougher than some of the other fighters that's been in there with Fury.
I'm
not. That's what happened. Even Klitschko.
Yeah.
Even Klitschko.
I'm a Fury fan, don't get me wrong. I'm a big Fury fan, but I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced Wilder was 100% that second fight. Something did not look right. And I'm a massive Fury fan. I could not believe how easily that fight went. We're talking a guy that has smashed every single fighter he's stepped in the ring with, and Wilder has an unbelievable jab. It's underrated. His jab is like a right hand to the jaw. Something was not right in that second fight. I don't know, but Fury got the win. I hope Wilder comes in this third fight with no excuses with the new team, and let's hope that the third fight is even better than the second fight. But
I think it will be. I think it's going to be the best one. Who do you? By the way, since you got 5 people on, who you guys got? Just real quick, just go through the room. Who do you guys are, got for the third fight, and just real quick, let me know, how do you see the fight going in comparison to the first 2? Are you believing that Wilder is going to be better this time around? Just let me know. Start out with Big O. What do you think?
It's kind of tough, honestly. I would have to say, I'd have to see the first couple of rounds, first 2 or 3 rounds, and how it's gonna go. Because I could see Wilder thinking he could outbox Fury based off what he's done with Malik Scott, coming there trying new things, and then trying to like land the big right hand. But if that doesn't work, I don't think I have anything left. And it could be like an AJ situation we saw on Saturday, where it just kind of frees up and not really know what to do, because he was swinging wildly like he was in the first fight, hoping to connect with Fury, and it could just be another masterclass by Fury, honestly.
Got you. What you think, Captain?
I already told you at the beginning of the show But for me, it will be a completely different fight. The beginning of the fight will be the adjustment and what Wilder bring to the table, what's in terms of new skills. And the second part of the fight for me, it's the adjustment of Fury. So I don't know. I don't see Wilder going to the 12th round, but maybe we can see something big during the middle rounds. Yeah.
Got you. What you think, Richard?
I've got Fury winning this third, the trilogy. I think that he's a very canny fighter, outstanding fighter. Got a lot of respect for him. I expect Wilder. I agree with Kangaroo and others that Wilder should bring something more. He's gonna definitely be an improvement on the second fight because he did not look quite himself in that fight. So all the excuses, the costume being too heavy and his treatment towards Mark Breland, the whole it wasn't a good look for Wilder, and I think he was aware of that. So the subsequent press conference that he had, he seemed to be from the school of less is more. It was good. He didn't go looking for excuses, but he wants to let his fists do the talking. I just don't think that he's got the boxing skill and has had enough time to learn sufficient skills to outpoint Fury. I don't expect that. And the only chance I think his best chance he's got is to stop Fury by hopefully knocking him down and the count making 10 before any miraculous recovery a la the first matchup. But I just think the years, just like we've been talking about AJ over the years being exposed in terms of i.e. his lack of outstanding ability and being a little robotic. He's got ability to adjust and improve, but with time, Deontay Wilder, he had that knockout punching. He was knocking out people left, right, and center. But since that Ortiz fight, for example, Luis Ortiz looked like he was giving him a boxing lesson, and he got out a jail card with that right hand to finish Luis off. But with the passage of time, Wilder has, in my opinion, been exposed more and more as a heavyweight. He's never been a great, outstanding knockout ability and knockout record, but I think Tyson will have too much for him, man. I don't think Tyson would want to entertain being beaten by him at this juncture and in light of the heavyweight picture. But it's a funny old game, and in this fight, this is a fight where a puncher's chance can be used as a credible sentence, unlike the Usyk fight. But yes, I'm going for Fury to win, and I think for the good of the game, he's great for the game, and Wilder is limited. So we'll see. Definitely worth tuning in for. Don't miss out on that.
Okay, what's up, Dr. Love Jones? You here?
What's up? Can you
What's
hear
up,
me?
man?
I love the name.
Yeah,
thank you.
yeah. What you real quick? What do you got on the Fury and Wilder third fight?
That's a tough one. I'm gonna preface my statements to say I'm a Wilder fan. So for me, I feel as though it's this. One of the things Wilder did admit is that he fell in love with the right hand. And knowing that and seeing a little bit of clips and stuff, if he's able to at least set up that right hand a little bit better and use that left hook, which he has a pretty good left hook, but if he use that more and mix it up to the head and the body, I do see him winning this fight. But I don't see him winning a decision. I don't think that. So if he's going to win, it's through knockout. But it's very well that Tyson Fury can still come in, and still be able to could still come out and outbox him. So it's up in the air. I'm personally rooting for Wilder, but from a boxing understanding, it's up in the air. It could go either way.
Right.
So,
right.
my prediction would be, well, Malik Scott, right? His new trainer. I think with what Dr. Love just said, you know, he's fell in love with his right hand, Wilder has. But I actually think Malik Scott is going to be the problem for Wilder. I think he's trying to give Wilder the confidence that he's going to come in and outbox Fury. Because you've seen some of the videos they're doing, they're trying to work on technique. And I don't understand that. Stick to what you've been good at, which is the right hand, and set it up. Don't try and go in and try and outbox an elite boxer. You're not going to beat Fury in the decision. You have to knock Fury out to beat him. That's just the fact of the matter. You're not going to beat Fury. You're not going to tell your fighter to go in and try and outbox Tyson Fury. So you have to knock him out. You have to find a way to knock him out. So for me, I'm picking Tyson Fury by decision. Wilder's going to go down in the fight, and Fury's going to go down in the fight. But I think Tyson Fury will get the decision because I do believe Wilder is going to throw the kitchen sink at Tyson Fury. He will throw everything he's fucking got at Tyson Fury because this is a legacy fight, the third one. Wilder wins this, I'll probably run down the road naked. So.
All right, man. I mean, I don't want to see that, but
you want to see that or you don't want to see that?
I said I don't want to see that.
All right.
But yeah. You know, all good picks, man. You know, if my if I had a gun to my head, man, I gotta go with logic on this one, and I would have to go with Fury this time around. I've already been wrong twice. A lot of you.
Are you gun shy? Are you getting gun shy, BoxingWave? I mean, a gun to your head. A gun to your head.
Yeah, it takes that because I was wrong twice already, and I keep getting tricked. All right. The first fight, I thought it was a legit because I didn't know, Fury's just coming back and wasn't really impressed with those first two fights. And I thought it was a cherry pick for Wilder. And I thought Wilder was going to jump on it and get the knockout. Second fight, I felt like even though I thought Fury won the first fight, I felt like I liked the way Wilder finished with the knockdown. And I figured, I think Wilder's going to catch him this time. I'm going to go with Wilder. And I went with Wilder. And we saw what happened in that rematch.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, all right, you know what? You're not getting me again. I'm just going to just pick Fury because it's just the educated pick at this point, But I am curious to see what Wilder's going to do. And I do honestly believe, regardless, win or loss, I think this is going to be the best Wilder out of the three. And even if it's not enough, I still think that up until the fight ends or whatever the outcome is going to be, I think he's going to look his best in this time.
And don't BoxingWave. Sorry, you go, Captain.
Yeah, and don't forget also that Wilder can win. Can be the moral winner of the fight. Maybe he can lose, but imagine he go the distance. Imagine he show many new skills, a new attitude, a new strategy, a better Wilder. Even if he lose, in fact, he win the night. Because nobody believes that he can step up, he can bring something really new. Nobody really believes that. So if he shut the mouth of many Wilder haters, in fact, maybe he has another loss on the resume, but maybe he saved his career. Maybe he can save the career even if he lose.
C'est possible.
Yes, Richard.
just real quickly, BoxingWave and Dr. Love Jones. The reason why I'm so leaning towards Fury is because are we going to see Deontay Wilder bouncing around on his toes, or is he going to be flat-footed with his feet 10 meters apart? Because that's where the problem, he will come unstuck. Fury doesn't stay still. I promise you, in the heart of heart, if his feet is flat-footed and he's not willing to move around to get Fury thinking, you're going to have a 19-stone man, 6'9", running you over. That's literally what Fury's going to try and do. I can't see Fury going in there to box. I just see Fury coming forward and doing exactly what he did in the second fight. Because if he tries to box Wilder, yes, he can outbox Wilder for 11 rounds, but Wilder can knock you out in any round, any second. So why try and outbox Deontay Wilder? Treat him as a cruiserweight. Put it on him early, like he did in the second fight. So,
I think the leaning and all of that too, like you were saying earlier, the leaning and just laying on him and putting your arm around his neck, and I think all of that was draining for Wilder. Like as I was watching, I mean, I'm not just talking about the third round when the knockdown. I mean, every round after, it was just like, damn, like this guy's just Fury looks so much bigger than him, and he was just using, he was like kind of manhandling Wilder. Wilder was just like stuck dealing with it.
Ragdolling him.
All Fury at that point. So Fury's got to, I mean, for Wilder's got to prepare like this is it's going to be a 12-round fight. He's going to have to do what AJ had to do, to prepare. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what these clips are not showing that. I don't know if they're just showing us what they want us to see, which I just got to assume. What is Wilder really doing? Is he working it on his conditioning? And is he preparing to fight for 12 rounds? I have no idea.
If I was Malik Scott, I would literally, I wouldn't change anything. I'd just better prepare my body for Tyson Fury's leaning and his physicality. I mean, let's not get this wrong. Tyson Fury almost got knocked into next week in the first fight. So Wilder's proven that he can hit Fury and put him down. So why do you have to try and tweak with your style? I mean, it's worked 39 times. Don't tweak with it. Like Dr. Love just said, the right hand works. You have to set it up. So I think Wilder can do that. But whether he can do it in a way that's going to outthink Fury, because like we all said, Fury is like his ring IQ is second to none, the best in the world after Usyk, in my opinion. Whether he can set it up for the right hand, I don't know, but I'm just worried. I'm actually worried for Deontay Wilder's safety, because as soon as that bell rings and Fury runs into the middle and starts leaning on him, I'm sorry, but this could be one of the biggest embarrassments in the history of American boxing. Wilder's going to get hurt for sure.
It's an interesting situation.
Love Jones, what you got?
No, from what to answer Kangaroo Jack's question is this: the technique he's working on is not necessary to be able to outbox Tyson Fury. It's to be able to break Tyson Fury down more, so he'd be able to land his shots better. So it's like there's ways to hit the body. In the first fight, Wilder had a couple of body shots that you can tell that affected Tyson Fury. He didn't do enough of it. There's other things he could do in the midst of the fight where, you're working on the technique. Of course, they're only showing us what we want them to see. It's all promotion and stuff like that, building hype. But one of the things you want from Wilder to be able to do when you see it is not to do something he's never done before, not to sit there bounce around on his toes. That's not what the game plan is. It's to be able to give something where Tyson Fury is not just solely worrying about the right hand coming. Is he got to worry, because Wilder has a really good jab. In my opinion, I believe that if Wilder establishes his jab, he has a more solid jab than Tyson Fury. So if he's able to set up the jab a little bit better, go to the body a few times, it's going to create openings for that right hand to land. So, and then from what I see is this: I could be wrong. I've seen the best what you're going to get from Tyson Fury, whether it's the boxing or the come forward style. I feel like Wilder still has so much more room for improvement that can make a difference. So
wow.
Well, I do think real quick, because I know you guys want to jump in, but real quick, I think Wilder in the first couple rounds, I think he started out with that game plan because he did throw a couple shots to the body, and I think even the commentators acknowledged like, okay, Wilder's throwing some other shots in there, and I can't remember exactly what happened at what point that it happened, but things went totally left for Wilder, and it just went downhill from there, But I know that Wilder started the fight trying to do different things, and it just didn't work, and then everything went from there. Yeah, you guys have the floor.
Just real quickly, when you watch these videos of Deontay Wilder hitting the pads, if you actually have a look at the body shots to the pads, there's absolutely no power in them based on the fact he has no footwork. To land a powerful body shot, your footwork has to be in a certain way, has to be elite, has to be placed perfectly. Otherwise, there'll be no power in the body shot. When has he ever thrown body shots? I can't. I've watched his fights. When has he ever laid effective body shots? Yes, Dr. Jones was right. He has a very good jab when it's on. But when has he ever decided to throw combinations to the body? I've never seen it.
Not combinations. I've seen him throw them and land them, but I never seen him consistently do it. No, I haven't. The another problem that I have, and I'm worried, concerned for Wilder, is what happens when he gets hit. What happens if he's losing it? That first round and it could be the very first round, but let's talk about that first round where he clearly lost. What does he do from there? Does he stick to the game plan of Malik Scott, or does he go right back into straight Wilder mode? That's another thing we have to bring up.
Mike Tyson said it. Mike Tyson.
He's been conditioned to fight in a certain way for so long because he kept winning. The flaws didn't matter before because he kept winning. I was addressing that earlier in this video. So that's a concern. That's one of my major concerns for Wilder is, okay, you guys are learning new things. You're working on new things. Cool. What happens when you lose a round, or, you get hit with a few shots, or you got to revert right back to the Wilder we know, as to be.
Just real quickly, BoxingWave, I'll give you an example with my sport that I play, which is AFL football. We've won the last 4 championships in a row. We haven't lost a game. This year, there was a few teams that came out and they actually beat us at our own game, but we didn't have a plan B. We kept going back to what we thought would work. Throwing Captain Hook on the halfback, throwing Richard on the half forward to try and mix the game up. We've done that for years, but it didn't work. You know what I mean? Why do we think Wilder's going to come in and try something differently when he's been doing it for so long? He's defended his titles. That's why he'll go down as an all-time great, regardless of the result in the third fight. I don't give a shit what anybody says.
Whoa!
I literally do not care. I honestly do not care.
Great.
Oh yeah, Wilder will for sure.
Whoa.
For sure. He's the hardest hitting boxer I've ever seen, ever.
Well, BoxingWave, you are the head of the house. Captain Hook, Captain Joe Frazier Hook, Smoking Joe Hook. What say you, gents? You open this evening's proceedings. Are you going to get on board that ship?
Well, first of all, I need to I need these heavyweights, all 4 of them, to wrap this up so we can have a real all-time great discussion. First of all, I don't think any one of them has proven to be, we can talk about generational greats and stuff like that. But I know when Klitschko left, or when he lost, it was clear that he was the best heavyweight. It was clear. It was no question. Just like him and his brother left, they were the best. Which one you like better, that's cool. We know that Lennox, when he, beat Vitali, he was the best at that moment. He was the best, out of everybody. He beat Tyson, he beat Holyfield. Doesn't matter when he did it. At that time, he was the best. And he's going down. I mean, at least he's in my top 10. I don't know about you guys, but Lewis is in my top 10. But this generation right here, I need to see all of this wrapped up. You know, Fury beats Wilder for a third, in a third fight. He'll be in a lead for me. But I still need to see these other fights. I need to see it undisputed. And we're not gonna pass up on that. We need to get that. So before we start just claiming people to be the winner of all of this stuff, and you know what? It could be more than one of these fighters, but you're not an ATG for beating Luis Ortiz alone. You're not. I'm sorry.
No.
We need more than that. I know you had a lot of title defenses, but we need those unifications. We need one of those fights where no one thought you would win, or you need to beat all the other best in the heavy. We need a little bit more. And I mean from everybody. I'm not just singling out Wilder. He said Wilder, so I'm responding to Kangaroo before he left. But we need a little bit more from all of these guys. So if Fury does it against Wilder, then fine. If AJ is able to come back and beat one of these exclusives, I made a video earlier. I still believe that Wilder and AJ needs to happen. It just needs to happen. I don't care if both of them lose against Fury and Usyk. Still needs to happen. These guys need to fight each other. It's not enough for me yet. So that's just me. I need to see more from all of them so we can wrap this up and we can move on to the next guy, because these next guys are coming up. They're hungry. We got a great undercard on this fight, and we need to wrap this up right now, at least by the end of next year, hopefully. That's my view on it.
I'm going to say this. As a Wilder fan, I would not throw all-time great there because I believe that there's so much more to do. I do think, though, that what he's done in the heavyweight, he's going to be a rememberable one. This is 10 years from now. If you end the career right now, he's going to be talked about. It's going to be something to talk about. But
that's fine.
All-time great, but to go with all-time great, especially when you see the heavyweights of the 90s, the 80s, the 70s, can't, because they fought each other. And right now, you have the top 4 or 5 heavyweights has not gotten a ring with each other. That's not a good look right now. So they have to at least fight each other, no matter who wins or what the situation. And there has to be a definitive who's the best. So Usyk got to fight everybody else. Wilder got to fight everybody else. Fury got to fight everybody else. Everybody got to fight each other before we could start throwing around all-time great.
And this is the reason why.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Sorry. This is the reason, because we spoke about how we will see the Wilder career in 10 years from now. So it's like we are a boxing writer, So in fact, Wilder, it's not a question just to put some knockout in his resume. Now he has to change something, and I really believe he has to change something. He has to change the character. If Wilder bring a new character to the audience, I believe that he will save his career and how we see him in the future, and because for some people who really don't believe in him, it's like the new Primo Carnera. It's still the new Primo Carnera, and he has to change that. And in a weird way, I believe that on October the 9th, he will change something.
Let me just bring up one point. Oh, I'm sorry. You done, or you still got more?
And I'm really done, guys. I have to go. So
okay.
I have to go. Richard, Dr. Love, Big O, and Kangaroo, thank you so much. And obviously, Paul, continue to bring the quality on YouTube, please. Thank you so much,
bro.
my friend.
And make sure you subscribe to the channel as well.
Au revoir, Captain Hook.
Thanks. Bye-bye, guys.
Yo, real quick, I just want to make a quick point. When I say ATG, or when we talk, like, it doesn't have to be just one guy. Okay, all 3 of them could be all ATGs. You know what I'm saying? It's just that we need them to fight each other. That's all. We need them to fight. each other, all of them.
Definitely.
And it doesn't
I
matter
agree.
what the
I agree.
outcome of the fights are. When I think of these all-time greats, they all got losses against people, you know, but they fought each other. That's when I'm thinking, like, they all took losses at some point. They don't have to be. It doesn't mean like if Fury is to beat Wilder in the third fight, all right, and if he is to beat, if this one of these guys become undisputed, it doesn't mean that the rest of these guys can't be all-time greats neither. No, it's just that they have to fight each other. We still got to get those fights going. We can't
I
forget
agree.
about the losers. We still got to get those fights going.
Holyfield's an all-time great, and he lost to Riddick Bowe twice.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah,
you know,
and lost a lot of. He lost to Lewis.
He
You
lost to
know,
Lewis, but he's still an
yeah,
all-time great.
lost to
I
Michael
think we
Moore.
I
To
think
me,
we're just going to go by this era. Like, I think it's different eras as well. We have to understand that, you know, this era isn't. I don't know. I just have this thing where the heavyweights nowadays are so much bigger than the heavyweights back in the 90s and the 80s. Like, they were 6'1", 6'2",
Yeah,
5'11". They were really small heavyweights. These guys now are 6'7", 6'6". You know, it's like, so it's a different sort of weight class as well, and that's and height differential. But
yeah.
I have a question for the panel. This is the big question for me because I think I've looked at it in different sorts of ways. So Fury beat Klitschko and then went away from boxing because of circumstances. Okay?
Mhm.
He won all the belts from Klitschko, and then the belts were obviously vacated for Klitschko and Joshua to fight for. He came back. He won the WBC and the Ring magazine for the second time. If he goes on and beats Wilder the third time and retains the WBC belt, and then magically the Usyk unification bout happens with Usyk and Fury, and he beats Usyk, is that enough to be an ATG?
Yeah,
yeah,
I think so. I think.
Because that's a
Well,
movie.
well. Let me say this. It'll be enough to. I think. I think when it comes to generations, he will be the king of this generation if he were to do that, of this generation. And I
Correct.
think it's fair to have these guys in the debate. You know, you can rank them wherever, but in this generation, when you run a generation, I feel like you can bring them up amongst the guys from the past generations. You know, and everybody's at that point, everybody's gonna have their biases or their views or what, you know, who, you know, what, but I don't feel like anyone has done enough yet to really solidify that ATG status in the heavyweight division. Not yet. You have to do a little bit more. And plus, these guys don't really fight that much. They really don't. You know, they really don't fight that much. And I just want to see a little bit more before we start.
I think as
jumping
well,
in.
like,
He has to beat Wilder. Like, we got to see what happens with that.
and
He has to.
Kangaroo.
It's just Usyk now. There's more work that needs to be done in the heavyweight division
Go
before we
ahead.
go there with that.
Yeah, I want to say I agree with the whole comparison. This is not like the lighter divisions where you can pretty much measure the same size. I do not like when they compare past heavyweights eras with this heavyweight era. I don't even like the comparison of eras, period, because
I hate
different eras brought a different level of fighting and stuff like that. Back in the 50s, 60s, they was fighting 150 times. Like,
Yeah.
we're not doing that now. There's fighting to the 15th round. Now it's not going to the 12, past the 12. So
Mhm.
it's so much different things. I
Yeah.
think that right now, this era is at a standstill right now because of the lack of the great ones getting into the ring with each other. I think that's the difference. Where if
Definitely.
Fury beat Wilder, he's on the best. He's on the fast track of being an all-time great by just being Wilder again. And if he goes and he beats Usyk, he solidifies himself as being the great of this era, the best of this era.
Mhm.
But that's the thing. They got to get into the ring with each other more before we start saying all-time great, because right now, even
And it's
even
totally.
if they lose,
Remember, guys, it's totally subjective. You know, and at
yeah,
the end of the day,
of course,
yeah, it's not that serious. You know, like, oh, how can you put this guy? If Fury does it and becomes undisputed and beats all these guys, and, you know, if somebody says, "Well, Fury's in my top 10 heavyweight of all time," and that's cool. That's how you feel, you know.
I would go one step further. I'd go one step further. I agree it's very difficult to compare eras, quite so. What I sense over these last few years is that the best, these four, are aware, and I think their handlers, I'm going to go as far as to say their handlers also are aware that there is no definitive number one. Any one of them at any moment could lose, and that loss is going to be those losses are factors in their thinking. I think as it stands, everybody is a winner financially in this era. I think Tyson Fury, arguably, along with Usyk, are two that are willing to lay everything on the line and are prepared to meet the best of the best. I think the likes of Joshua, he could be happy to avoid a Dillian White or avoid Andy Ruiz number 3 fight, because Ruiz, if he came correct, he could be a real threat to a Joshua in terms of a win or loss fight. I think Joshua would be quite prepared to avoid him, and his handlers would be prepared to avoid him, because it may affect their financial status. They're all going to be winners, though. That's the thing. I think with the likes of Wilder, you can't really class him as an all-time great. In fact, I'll tell you what, for Mr. Deontay Wilder, I think given his limited abilities, given his upbringing and his resume in the world of boxing, I think he has done tremendously well with the talents that he has been given, namely that right hand, and he's done fantastically well to have held belts for so long a period. I think that really is the case. At one point, I thought Joshua was genuinely concerned about meeting him, because Wilder, if he's got one thing, he's got a punch. And if AJ is fearful or concerned and gun shy and fearful of getting hit, I say fearful, relatively speaking, Deontay Wilder, you don't want that right hand landing more than once if possible. And once could be enough for the likes of AJ. So AJ ducking and diving if as necessary. His handlers particularly, they know that it could be best to just strategically plan a career. Again, I think Usyk and Fury are arguably the two best out there. But all-time great in this era, I think it would be between those two. But I think everyone's a winner. The likes of Dillian White. Can anyone explain why Dillian White has not had a world title shot? And Andy Ruiz, why isn't there a clamor for Andy Ruiz to get in the ring?
I can answer that.
Please, go ahead.
So, to me, Dillian White, his career has not been handled right, because, yeah, he had the mandatory. It was at one point was between him and Brazil. It's the WBC. We already know what that is. But the WBC had ordered him and Ortiz to fight for that second slot. So when Deontay Wilder fought Brazil had he fought Ortiz and beat Ortiz, he would have had that mandatory position. He chose not to fight Ortiz, which got him out the chance of him getting into it took him a longer time to become a mandatory. Had he took that fight with Ortiz, he was been a mandatory at the Brazil after Wilder knocked out Brazil.
I'd throw to put that out there. I think it's absolutely.
Go ahead, Kangaroo.
I think it's absolutely an embarrassment to the sport that Dillian White has not had a title shot. I mean, just keep in mind, Dr. Love, when you talk about who fought who for mandatory spots and all that, when back in 2016, 17, and 18, Dillian White was mandatory for the WBC for, I reckon, for about 3 years, and he didn't get a title shot. I believe that there's protected there's only one protected heavyweight in the world, and that's Anthony Joshua. The reason why I say that is because Anthony Joshua fights only in the United Kingdom. Why would Tyson Fury be scared to fight Anthony Joshua when he went over to the United States to fight Wilder, the hardest hitting puncher in the world, after 2 fights against cab drivers? Just put that into perspective. Would Anthony Joshua go to Vegas to fight Deontay Wilder after the Fury fight? I can guarantee you my life that he would not do that. 100% he would not do that. He would want to fight in a football stadium, or Wembley, or Tottenham Hotspur, that sort of bullshit that Eddie Hearn tries to put out there. I think it's a complete joke. That's why none of these fighters fight each other. As BoxingWave was saying earlier, there's too many rematch clauses. If Fury loses to Wilder, they'll have a 4th fight. 100% they will. Do you see what I'm saying? I think it's all a joke.
Well, because a lot of you guys, all 3 of you said a lot. So, let me say this.
There's a lot of feedback.
I don't. Yeah, I think. Hello.
I don't hear the feedback anymore. I think.
Okay. All right. Okay, a lot to unpack. First of all, Richard, you said something about earlier. You said something about you was talking about Deontay Wilder, and you was talking about AJ and properly picking people and avoiding people and stuff like that. I think that goes a little bit against of what we were speaking earlier. If they were trying to make AJ avoid people, they would have definitely made him avoid Usyk at all costs. So when we're talking about AJ avoiding guys like Dillian White in a rematch or Ruiz for a 3rd fight, I think if they were going to ever at some point make him avoid someone, it would have definitely been Usyk, because remember, there could have easily had him stripped in order and then get the title back later and just totally avoid this guy at all costs and let him go on to fight Joe Joyce and deal with that issue later. They actually went, just like we were speaking earlier, you were actually surprised that they went on to let AJ fight Usyk. So I think they wasn't trying to avoid anyone, or at least not Dillian White and Andy Ruiz for a 3rd fight. I don't think they were trying to maneuver out of that, because they went right into a Usyk fight, which was a much more dangerous fight, in my opinion, than the other 2 that you named. As far as the whole Luis Ortiz and Dillian White situation, first of all, I think it is embarrassing what happened with the WBC, just because, yes, I know that Dillian White was mandated to fight Luis Ortiz, but we have to really unpack that completely. Look at who Luis Ortiz was fighting. Yes, he did lose to Wilder first, but right away, they immediately made him another mandatory opportunity. They gave Stavern another opportunity. They gave Brazil an opportunity. We got to see what they were doing when the WBC kept making these guys the mandatory over and over again, as opposed to Dillian White. That is what raised a lot of questions, and this is why people say that Dillian White was, or Wilder in that sense, was being protected from Dillian White, because why are the standards different for everybody else, and White has to fight all of these guys, risk getting knocked out? So you saw people in the comment section saying, "Oh, he got derailed from Povetkin." No, Povetkin fight was just last year during the pandemic, and he already avenged that loss already earlier this year. So that was way after all of this stuff. Dillian White was due for his title shot years back. He did a lot more than the other mandatories did. So we got to remember that, okay, Dillian White didn't fight Luis Ortiz. I agree with you there. But what he did before that fight, and even after, remember, at that point, he only had lost to AJ, went on to beat guys like Joseph Parker, who was a champion. Ortiz hasn't had a win that big on his resume yet. Neither did Stavern. Neither did Brazil. You got to remember that stuff, and I think people forget that part. That
Go ahead.
you know, this guy deserved this title shot a long time ago.
Go ahead. Going into the history books down the years, do you remember the great Jack Dempsey? I think it was in that era where black fighters were not courted for world championship shots. I think it was Jack Dempsey. He's one of the greats of all time. But I remember
Johnson.
that. Say again.
Was it Jack Johnson?
Oh no.
It's Jack Dempsey. It's Jack
Yeah.
Dempsey.
No, Jack Dempsey in that era. Jack Johnson. That there was in Jack Johnson.
Because of
era,
Jack
there was
Johnson. Because of Jack Johnson and what he was doing, that's when they started having the bans and stuff. And it took a long time. It wasn't until Joe Louis, and then Joe Louis had to really be shut down. Like, you know, you can't be talking, you can't do anything. That's why he got his opportunity. He got his opportunity based on, yo, this is what you have to act like. And that's what happened. And in between that time, Jack Dempsey and, you know, all these other champs came along. But yeah. But what about, I'm sorry to cut you off. No
problem. Yeah, you know your boxing history, and that was spot on regarding Jack Johnson and the whole issues around that. But it's that sense of whichever era we're talking about and being put into the category of all-time greats. What stands out is the best meeting the best. Ali is arguably the greatest. Joe Louis mentioned in arguably the greatest circles because they took on all comers. Evander Holyfield, not ducking and diving, meeting the best of your era for the world to see, legacy fights, for the pride, the honor, the glory, as my good friend Moen, who will surely be watching this in a rerun later, big boxing fan. We support legacy fighters, and it's been a real disappointment. And it's been like a sore thumb sticking out, the fact that there has been just a little bit too much ducking and diving in today's current generation. And the promoters are really too much to the fore in terms of having their fighters duck and dive. I mean, if these fighters, you say idiots, but as I said, I think money
it's all an
in today's generation. So
I'm going to
so the legacy
my
thing,
investment. This boxer, this fighter is my investment.
Absolutely. So that really really creates a kind of swamp and a quagmire in terms of finding out who can be put into the category of all-time great when we can't even establish who is the best of the current generation, as you rightly said, BoxingWave. Until these guys meet each other, there is something feedback going on there, isn't there?
Yeah, some feedback going on. Just guys, mute your mics.
Someone maybe in the background there. Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
So that's been really the frustrating thing, and that's why going back to yourself, BoxingWave, I salute you because you know your boxing. You love the sport of boxing, and you appreciate and you tell it like it is. You're not one for sitting on the fence. And yes, you're willing to call out potential results, e.g. the Wilder fights, and you're willing to get it wrong. And it can go wrong sometimes. It can go wrong sometimes. But you know what?
Got it wrong last weekend.
There you go. But you tell it like it is, and I think that right now the current generation, it's been really disappointing. And I think that there is a narrative where everyone, I mean, AJ fighting Usyk, I do take a little issue. I think, and in fact, the narrative over in England is that AJ, and in the media, plenty of the media over here in England are saying AJ underestimated Usyk, and the narrative is, you know what? Props to Usyk, but let's get the rematch on ASAP because Usyk is not necessarily the future. Terrific fighter. He's exposed, well, not exposed, but he's shown that AJ is not. He can't outbox him, but there's a little caveat there. The caveat is, you know what? Take the gloves off, proverbially speaking, and go get him. Be prepared. Rough him up in your own way. If it's not a Chisora way, rough him up because you can get back in there again. And I think the handlers, Eddie Hearn and company, are very much aware that, yes, there was a chance that he could lose. And over 12 rounds, okay, he didn't get beaten up. He didn't get his eye socket busted and all sorts of things. He can come back again. And, he's still in with a chance of making lots of money and reclaiming belts. Usyk may think that he's climbed the Mount Everest in this victory, and complacency may set in where he's concerned. So everyone's a winner going forward. There's one little quick thing before I leave it to your good selves. I'd like to say, BoxingWave, you mentioned something about Canelo Alvarez and Floyd, and you suggested that Canelo adopted the wrong tactics and attempted to outbox Floyd. Now, I've not heard anyone really come out with that specific line to my recollection. Would you care to expand on that? Because Canelo, that's his only official loss, and I thought that was one of Floyd's finest. In fact, that was a fight. I'll tell you straight. I told my friends, including the great Mo NN, who's a lovely sport boxing fan like yourself, BoxingWave. I said, "Hey, Floyd, what are you doing? Don't be so quick to sign that fight. Don't sign for that fight too quick. This is a young, hungry Mexican lion." And lo and behold, well, you saw what happened. Are you suggesting that Canelo of that fight could have fought it differently with a potentially different result?
No. I'm not saying that he could have fought it differently. What I'm saying is, well, first of all, we gotta really understand that Canelo was limited as a fighter compared to what he is right now, because he learned a lot from that fight. Lara was outboxing him as well, to me. But that's when Canelo started being the aggressor and started digging his body. Okay, you want to hit and run? Now I'm going to follow you around, and I'm going to keep hitting at your body over and over and over again. We didn't see much adjustments with Floyd in the Floyd fight. But to go back to answer your question, the counterpuncher in Canelo got countered. His counters got countered because there's levels of counterpunchers. Canelo's at the very elite right now, but at that time, Floyd was the very elite at counterpuncher. Like Marquez has always been one of the most respected counterpunchers in the game. But when he fought Floyd Mayweather, he looked okay as a counterpuncher. He didn't look that good. There's levels, and that's the reason why he lost. And there wasn't much adjustments with Canelo. He played chess with a better chess player, and that was it. Now, if Canelo were to fight Floyd now, I think he would make adjustments. I don't know if it would have been enough, but I'm talking about Canelo versus a prime four. I'm not talking about Canelo versus a 44-year-old Floyd Mayweather.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Some people are asking for it now, like, oh, Floyd should go back and fight Canelo. I'm like, no, not talking about, because even people forget the fact that Floyd, even at that point, was like, 36? He wasn't even in his prime. He was already past his prime. Now, Canelo might have not been in his prime, but Floyd was past his prime. So that made it an equal playing field. I'm over and you're under.
There you go.
And you're the bigger fighter. People talk about catch weight, this catch weight. Catch weight's been all along. It's been a thing. Canelo's doing it. Rehydration clause. He's had his catch weights. Cotto had his catch weights. Manny Pacquiao has his catch weights. They all do the same thing. It is what it is. That's what the top guys do. That's what I'm going to dictate the rules here. Even Cotto did it, which was his last A-side fight against Canelo. Like, he was the A-side in that fight. I'm getting paid more, So I think with all that being said, the reason why I bring that fight up, I love to bring that fight up, is because it was a younger chess player against the older one. And the older one just had way many more tricks at that point, especially. In fact, Canelo became a better fighter because of that loss. And this is why guys got to stop trying to avoid losses so bad, because these losses make you better.
Go ahead.
A lot. It makes you so much better, And
I agree.
You know, that's how I feel on that. You know,
I want to jump in too because I wanted to jump in what Richard said. I agree with the errors or how this era is not fighting each other like they did in before. One of the things that I never liked about the eras before is that you had fighters that were going into the fight and they were not making the most money. Their promoters, their handlers was making more money than them, especially with, you talking about the 50s or 60s where the mafia and the mobs was taking money. And then you had these promoters start coming in, Don King and everybody else associated with that. So a lot of fighters were getting robbed blind. So yeah, they was giving these tough fights, but they was not getting paid to the level they was getting paid. Now
True.
fighters are getting paid to the level they're getting paid, and this is what we want. However, we still want that aspect of the best fighting the best. And I do think money makes fighters complacent because when you know that my biggest payday comes from me fighting this person, for me to touch a mill, I gotta fight the best of my division. But now dudes are making $1 million and they even just fighting in the top 10.
Absolutely.
And that brings a difference. So I do think that we need to align those energies and align it where both sides, where fighters getting paid, but yet they still have the hunger to continue
yeah,
to fight each other, because
good
that's where
good
you're going to
point.
find the best.
Yeah.
Without,
Well, I just want to say too, real quick,
go ahead.
based on his point, that's why Barry Hearn said what he said in that interview that everybody was so mad at that presser. He said we was giving out slave deals. Now people took that and incorporated with black folks. I was like, nah, he's treated these boxers in general like slaves because these guys were out here fighting and we weren't paying them shit. These fighters today, they're a lot more intelligent. Plus, they know the game. They know the history of the sport. They know the Don Kings, the Bob Aarons. They know all of these guys and what they did. You know, they know what they were doing. And they took advantage of it. And I like the fighter today. Yes, they are smarter. All right. They know their worth. They know their worth, and this is why, fortunately, the Teofimo Lopez situation didn't work out, but he's going to learn from it. It's okay. It's okay. The whole Triller thing didn't work out, but, it's okay. But these guys are making smart moves, smart decisions. These fighters before, they just signed. They didn't know what they were doing. They were just signing, So I agree with you. Yes, financially, they're much smarter. They're going to have to find some kind of balance where we want you to be successful and make money, but we need a quality sport, and we don't really have that right now. We need some sort of balance.
I was looking at the comments here when we were speaking about Floyd Mayweather. I'm in Australia. Like they don't often show boxing on the news, and we don't have really many like top heavyweight fighters or any sort of world class boxers in regards to world titles, etc., etc.
Jeff Fennick country.
Yeah, not well. We're talking the current ones. Well, we got Lucas Brown.
Oh yeah, not many.
Lucas Brown, but he's a fucking. That guy needs to just go to bed. In my opinion, I'm a massive boxing fan, and I love the sweet science of the sport. And I've seen all these past fighters, all of them like that, and I don't like this. I don't like this guy's personality, the way he talks about things, the way he degrades people about his money. But Floyd Mayweather, in my opinion, is the greatest boxer of all time. And I'm talking sweet science. He is the best ever to ever lace on a pair of gloves. And I don't like the guy. I actually don't like him at all. I think he's a piece of shit. But he is the greatest ever, based on the fact that I love the sport of boxing. And I'm not sitting there like a hypocrite trying to go, oh, money this, money that, he's this, he's that. But he is the best ever. And that's just me talking facts and honestly from my heart. So...
All right,
Big
real
man,
quick,
was
guys.
he a ducker? Was he a ducker? Was he a
No.
cherry picker?
No.
No. Listen, he didn't fight everybody I wanted him to fight at the time that I wanted. That doesn't make him a ducker, because no one has fought everybody when I wanted them to fight. At least not in my time, in my experience of watching boxing. Right, a lot of fights weren't on time. Listen, we're just gonna go around the room real quick, just close it out, just closing statements. I got to get some rest, guys.
Yeah, full respect. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, guys.
What's your last
You guys
question?
go around. Just no. Just real quick. Just damn.
Well, I tell you what,
we just make a statement, because we already talked about everything. We talked about Wilder and Fury. We talked
Just make a wild statement.
Just make a statement. That's it. Yeah.
Well, I'm just gonna sum up by saying, great show, guys. I think we've witnessed in Usyk claiming the belts and beating Anthony Joshua away from home in the proverbial lion's den, was a juicy, momentous history that we should remember fondly and memorably. Fantastic achievement. Seeing the sweet science, the sweet sport of boxing being represented by Usyk. Such a gentleman. And wearing that Joker outfit, the whole before, during and after, a gentleman and a scholar. It was terrific to see a quality boxing match. AJ tried to bring his A game, tried to go toe-to-toe, boxing-wise, and he came off second best, but to a class operator. Now we're going to be looking forward to Mr. Wilder versus Mr. Fury. And I think we're going to be in for a very interesting compare and contrast by way of fights. So no excuses guaranteed. We've seen what's happened at the weekend. Now enter the dragon. Come in, Mr. Fury. Come in, Mr. Wilder. May the best man win. And of course, it only takes one punch. I'm looking for Tyson to showcase his arts and craft and say to Usyk, look out. You can showboat, but so can I. Let's go. Let's get it on.
My closing statement would be, Alan the Savage Babbage is the future heavyweight champion of the world. He's the future of the heavyweight division. The future, the Savage, the Babbage. He is the future of the heavyweight division. Peace out, guys. Love and peace.
Right, man. Love, man. Take care. Dr. Love, what you got?
Man, first off, great discussion. Thanks for having me on here. I'm glad to be able to add content. You know, I'm subscribed to you, so I definitely be looking out. I'll be in the comment section with some of the stuff and whatever. One of the things I want to say is that boxing right now is this year, outside of the cancellations, you know, we missed out on the Spence and Pacquiao for this year. We missed out. We now getting the Fury Wilder, which was postponed at first. But now you got the Brock Crawford and the Porter fight. We're getting better fights. It's getting better and better, and I'm excited for boxing and the place it's going. I do think though that the commissions and the legals, the people who are doing the legals, they got to stop with the nonsense, especially with the WBC. And, you know, you can't have your fighters testing positive and going to fights. You can't be having, you know, what was it earlier this year where Shaki Foster and Miguel Roman messed up gloves. Like, these stuff needs to get cleaned up. And we need to do more of shedding a light on these stuff. But outside of that, fights are happening. I'm looking forward to the Wilder Fury. I got Wilder here by knockout. And we're going to go from there. Thanks for the conversation. Peace out, everyone. Good talking to y'all.
Later.
Well,
Big O, I know you've been quiet, but
Yeah,
what's up, man?
quiet.
You still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
What you got? Closing statements real quick.
I'm just make this quick. I'm just gonna say that last weekend as an AJ fan was disappointing. You know, I just felt like he came out there and he tried to. I'm not sure who told him to try to box with Usyk, like knowing his camp could like his trainer couldn't tell him that you're not at that level yet. Like focus on what you're good at. Use your side, use your strengths to your advantage. I feel like he needs to get rid of a decent portion of his camp, honestly. Make a video on that later on. Rob McCracken was a good amateur trainer, but in the pros, like that's not it. Like I feel like AJ has so much potential, and with his current crew, he's just not gonna reach that level. Not take away from Usyk at all, though, but I just felt like AJ could have came out there and made a better showing of himself, even if he lost. Like he damn near almost got stopped. Like 12th round, I was holding my head in shock. I thought it was over. I thought they're gonna wave it off. But apart from that, though, yeah, Wilder vs. Fury's coming up, and hopefully after that, once we get the rematch with Usyk, maybe we'll have more of these top heavyweights fight each other. So I really want to see either Usyk versus Wilder or Usyk versus Fury, and maybe Wilder versus AJ too, because that'd be a really good fight.
Gotcha. All right,
but
man.
let's not forget let's not forget Dylan White's and the Andy Ruiz's. I think it's going to be more than the 4. Yeah, the best meeting the best, and everyone getting their fair shake at this thing, because I think there's going to be more plots unfolding.
Yeah, definitely. All right, listen, I want to thank you guys for joining us tonight. It was a great time. I don't do these often, but you guys were a great panel. A lot of education on here. Good boxing talk, man. Good discussion. Good back and forth. Shout out to everyone in the channel. And that subscribed. Anyone that's in the comment section. Anyone that donated. Yeah, man. Totally random night, but it was a great time. And I'll see you guys. I'll see you guys around, man. All right, have a good night. Stay safe out there. And see you next week. I'll definitely be covering the fight next week. All right. Peace.
We look forward to that boxing wave. Peace.